It's a Friday at 12 p.m. Well, roughly a little bit of a late start. But you know what that means? Time for another Try Draft-a-lon here on the Splash Play channel, where I'll be hitting the biggest tournaments across the world of best ball for a shot at a combined $4.5 million. It means Underdog's Best Ball Mania, DraftKings Millionaire Maker, and the world of best ball drafters are presenting sponsors' main event championship. We'll be hitting them all. And of course, I am all in a draft room here. We are picking in the not at all prestigious 10-hole. Going to be facing some competition from our pal Pete Overzet today. And I guess he's not a pal. He's the arch enemy today because he's running a stream that's going to get roughly 500x the amount of viewers I'm getting right now. Big YouTube TV Pete. He's going to be doing the Brazil NFL game. That's going to be on YouTube. He is getting a lot of views right now. But you're here with me, so don't leave me right now as we pick coming up. News-wise, not a whole lot to love at this stage of things. I feel like talked about on the stochastic stream yesterday. I did about DraftKings draft, of course. Talked about the Chris Godwin news there, where at least we have some sort of a concrete move forward to the fact that Chris Godwin is going to be practicing, it looks like, in week 2. And then after that, we'll see him hopefully in action once October starts. So at this point, you could set the proper price to know the fact that he's going to miss a little bit of the season, but still hopefully be in there for the parts that matter the most. Of course, that run in the playoffs, but also the run up to it. And we'll see what Emeka Egbuka does in the meantime. We'll see where he gets drafted in this room as well. This big board view we got going. Besides that, I feel like it's pretty quiet right now. Some cut down stuff should be coming. Brian Robinson trade will hopefully be coming at some point. Joe Mixon news, the other one big domino we're waiting for. Darnell Mooney supposedly on pace. Raheem Morris is pleased with the progress he's made so far. Looking like he'll be available week 1, if not week 2 or so. No pup list talk, seems like, for Darnell Mooney. But that's it right now, I think, in terms of the main injuries I'm watching out for my portfolio. And I'll take a look at my portfolio as well on stream at the end of the video today. But we're on the clock here. 20-second clock, of course. And where we are, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas. All fine clicks. Nothing, I think, terribly fun at this stage of things. I've got a lot of Puka. I do know that across my entire portfolio. I think actually might be 2x the field on Puka because of the fact he's slid down a little bit in ADP. You can get him in more spots. So I'll get some Amon-Ra St. Brown, a guy who's cooked recently against the Dolphins. Whatever, you know, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know we're getting there. J-Mo being better this year. Jameson Williams being a stronger play. That would certainly hurt a guy like Amon-Ra to some extent. But still, we love the talent of Amon-Ra St. Brown. So happy to be there overall. Let's go back to this big board view, even though my face is blocking it. I don't know if I feel like the early stage here, maybe I should just use this view. I think that's me producing on the fly here, trying to learn something. And shout out to the chat as well. Lots of GMs in the chat. New contest on Underdog looks fire as fuck. I don't even know what there is. We're launching new tournaments every day. No promos ever. They won't ever give you anything for free. But Lord knows they're providing some multiples of tournaments. Devon Achane falling in some rooms. This is a spot where you can get him the entire time at pick 15, so not going to go that way. Have wanted to increase my Drake London bet down the home stretch. I'm actually going to check my exposure for Drake London in a moment here on a different tab. Best Ball Explorer updated all my data this morning. If you want to get a free tool to see how you're drafting right now in your best ball teams, drafts that might stand out as well as relative to closing line value you've gained, ADP and stuff like that. Best Ball Explorer is a good tool to do that. And I will show you guys all my exposures across all 3 sites at the end of the video today on Best Ball Explorer. But let me see portfolio exposure here. And you can see a little teaser, I guess. You can see some of it. Drake London, 11% on Underdog, 13% on DraftKings, 11% on Drafters. So above the field there, I would like to have more. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7%. So I am low on him. Round 7.2% on Underdog. I guess it's not round, but you know, that's a different number. 5.3% on DraftKings, 2.7% on Drafters. I am not getting the boy Amon-Ra very much, really overall this year. I guess because he's not an exciting click. It's part of my brain function. I'm sure. Not taking very much, but I'm not taking him very much right now. I guess it's really the main thing for me. Checking the chats too. Been ODing London lately. He's got top 3 receiver potential. I mean, I've said that, you know, in my belief, and I don't think he'll actually hit this mark, but you got to make some kind of cases and take some stands sometimes. I think if there's any receiver at this turn like that, I really can make a credible case for making the big league up based on what we saw last year where, you know, London the entire season, a 30% plus target per out run rate guy. As I always talk about, that's the benchmark I'm looking for anybody, but especially when you have it for an alpha receiver type like a Drake London. I think it matters. We also have an ascendant offense in Atlanta. You see Bijan Robinson in this room went at the 101. For this guy, by the way, reaching for Bijan early to get a combo you can get really the entire draft cycle. As you guys know, if you watch my streams, I am Mr. Bijan and Bucky combined. I guess Hampton reaching early for him. See what this guy does. He's got to take some receivers pretty hot and heavy coming up. Point being, though, for Drake London, ascendant offense, running back is going to move things pretty well. But also, you know, his general, I think, red zone share for Bijan Robinson is good, but it's not as dominant as a guy like McCaffrey was in his heyday where he was putting up, you know, top scores overall. Bijan last year in the red zone, 3.5 red zone rushes a game, 0.4 red zone targets. You know, Drake London, I believe, was around 2 per game. Drake London was at 1.5 red zone targets a game, which is pretty good. You know, your top receivers, Jamar Chase and C. Higgins, they're at about 2 red zone targets a game. So you're not talking about a dominant running back who takes work away, a guy also at running back in Bijan who does get good pass game work, but didn't really get in the red zone last year. The touchdown should flow to Drake London for the most part as well. So high target earner, obviously, you know, traditional archetype, big body receiver, can play outside, can play in the slot. Ascendant offense with Michael Penix getting his first year of starting. An offense, too, that we like. The pedigree, Zach Robinson, a guy who's come from that Rams tree and had meaningful roles as part of that team as well. There's a lot to like for Atlanta. But, you know, there's a lot to like for a lot of those guys in this range, too. Puka Nacua, a tremendous target earner last year, even with him being banged up all year. He was like a 38% target per out run rate guy, kind of marks you don't see hit very often. So, you know, there's a lot. We got 2 receivers with Amon-Ra, Drake London. Kyren Williams has not been coming back to this spot too often, so I am happy to scoop him here. And let's see what we get from these guys on the way back. We do also get some Week 17 correlation, Atlanta and the Rams, one of my favorite Week 17 games to try to get some exposure to, especially on Underdog, where it lines pretty nicely. And Kyren really used to reliably go in this range. He doesn't go there very much at this stage. I also have been happy to take Garrett Wilson. Think that would have been a unique combo to get him with Amon-Ra and Drake London. But we need running back more. I think Kyren matters more to the team construction right now. So we go Kyren Williams here. Got to rewatch. I mean, you're not missing much. I just started. But I appreciate you popping in. Appreciate all you guys watching live, especially the members here. Of course, you too can join this channel, get access to a special VIP Discord for just $4.99 a month. Join the channel down below. You get access right away. Whenever there's anything news breaking that matters, I drop it in there. You also get my matchup data sheet, the stuff that I look at when I'm doing streams, including this year's Stochastic Live Before Lock streams at NFL. You'll see the data I see on screen or that I use for myself on screen. So it is a hopefully valuable thing. Jayden Daniels has not come back. Would have been nice to get him. RB definitely falling off the cliff at this point, but Kittle would be a nice player to get exposure to as well. I am going to go James Cook here. I just feel like getting the balanced RB build, certainly something I'd like to do. Think we have good receivers in terms of Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Drake London, guys who should be good in half-point PPR, have the touchdown equity in addition, having the yardage upside we need to have there. So I like this room so far, this team so far, with Kyren, James Cook, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Drake London. Not Zero RB Friday anymore here on Splash Play, but still, we're building teams that hopefully can win money and the goal of robbing the bank of best ball here in 2025. And of course, the show presented by Drafters. Make sure to check them out here. Big deal going on right now is if you do 5 drafts, you get 1 for free this weekend. You do that twice as well. So you put in 10 drafts, you get 2 for free. Drafters a bunch of rake back deals as well when you put in a bunch of entries in their Drafters main event championship. And right now the tournament's looking at about 50% fill rate. So it's got less than 2 weeks to hit a higher number than that. I don't see it getting to 80 personally, but I don't want to, you know, make a big stand for you guys. There's potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in overlay on Drafters this year. So use that promo code SPLASH at drafters.com or on the Drafters app and get your $100 deposit match right now. You know, it's a nice deposit match to have in there. Get some entries in at the main event championship where I finished top 100 before, finished top 10 in their playoff best ball equivalent to that last year. Your money carries a little bit further on Drafters, so please do check it out. And shout out to you guys that have signed up lately, because if you want to see these streams next year, to be totally honest, unless I win all the money and I just want to do a victory lap of content, please support Drafters this year because we can make sure we get them back in pocket, keep them happy, keep them pleasured. I guess I should say pleasured. Pleased would be what you say for an advertising partner. Pleasured would be, if anybody watched the Peacemaker season opener yesterday, what was going on in John Cena's house, the massive orgy, that'd be keeping people pleasured, I think would be the way to do that. Shout out Bigsy here. Morning made a live. Hey, Bigsy's one of the guys who signed up on Drafters, I believe. So shout out Bigsy. Glad to see him here. Fucking Prize Picks just took our Flex Friday away. Fuck them and everything. It's a strong stance. I don't have any deals with Prize Picks, so fuck them. Yeah, I agree. I would happen to, that said, Prize Picks, please pick up the phone. Otherwise, I'm going to be advertising fucking, well, we'll see. Who knows? Advertising nothing. I'll be advertising my own Discord is all I'll be advertising. Fillet the sponsor. Yeah, sure. You could fillet the sponsor. Had a Gibbs Bucky start just now. I've done that many times. I like it. Two of the most juice in the league. Two of the young guys as well that we theoretically haven't seen the ceiling year from. That said, you know, for Bucky, I think they're not going to give him the workload they gave him down the stretch last year where he was like a bell cow back. I think they want to have him be a little bit safer throughout the year, and you're not really with the body type that Bucky has. I don't think you want to give him 25 touches a game. I mean, you could try it. I just don't know that's what you want to risk on that side of the equation. So that'd be the downside case. Gibbs getting Montgomery back full health this year as well. And Montgomery's still a guy that has looked good, even though people think he's this old dusty back. He's got juice. He avoids tackles, all that stuff. But the Gibbs combos, see this guy here took Gibbs, Chase Brown. Now he's pounding receiver after that with Harrison, McLaurin, Flowers. Those are nice teams to build. So I think you can make it work with taking Gibbs in a lot of combos. Same thing with Bijan and the combos you get there. All right. Pick coming up here. We have a 0-2-2-0. I don't know why the screen is lining up weird here. Ever since they changed the UI, things are off. A little bit of an 8-pick, actually 9-pick ADP discount on Cortland Sutton. Happy to take that right now. I know he's not a sexy click. I know we're seeing Devon Vele get traded means better things on paper for Troy Franklin, who should be a better targeter than Vele was. Same thing for Pat Bryant, who was a great targeter at Illinois, not a special athlete, but played pretty well in that last preseason game, so I get it. You should see things look a little bit better overall, for those guys. But Sutton, still a guy that's got the biggest contract there, is getting paid pretty well overall, almost around the range of Terry McLaurin money. I guess hopefully less than McLaurin gets when he eventually gets a new deal. But I think Sutton's undervalued. He's fallen in a lot of these rooms, and I'm happy to get him. We have Detroit, Atlanta, Denver. Would have taken Rashee Rice probably with this pick. Pearsall's a guy I'm not going to get a ton of exposure to. Happy to do it. Debo's one of my highest exposed guys in the year. I'll take some Pearsall. I'm probably low on Pearsall because of how much I do take Debo Samuel in this range. Again, you'll see my full exposures at the end of the video across every platform. But right now, Debo Samuel, I think, is my top receiver overall. So I'll go Pearsall here. People like Matt Harmon have been encouraged by the in-breaking routes we've seen from Pearsall. So in the preseason, rather, obviously that's a spot where Juwan Jennings hasn't been there, but Jennings still not practicing. So at this stage of things, I probably would have rather taken Travis Hunter if he came back, would have rather taken Rashee Rice if he came back, but I'm cool to take Pearsall because I think there's decent signal there. And obviously we did see him spike, win people all the money last year. So my team so far is a 0-2-4-0, no QBs, no tight ends, but two nice RBs in Kyren Williams, James Cook. A little bit after ADP for Kyren at this stage, though, frankly, where he's gone for most of the draft cycle on Underdog. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall. So enough receiver firepower in. I definitely want to try to balance, get some more running backs in, I think, the next few rounds, but got some optionality here. Let's go back to the big board view. Just went Gibbs, Chase Brown, Hampton, probably dead, but it was fun. It just comes down to how many receivers you get in a row after that. If you start getting deviated, you start taking QB, tight end, the next few rounds, that's when you fuck it up real bad. But again, if you hit receiver like this guy, I mean, this is two RBs, but hitting 3 receivers, 4 receivers in a row, including a little bit of a dip on Debo. I think that looks good for him. This guy, though, taking Joe Burrow unstacked, I think is a really awful play in the 101. And, look, people are new to best ball. I get it. It's not just because you make a bad play doesn't mean you're a bad person. I think it's probably something I should have said earlier on stream before shitting on everybody for many years of doing best ball drafts now. But that said, for this guy here, a Bijan, Bucky, Hampton start, that's a lot of fun. You just got to keep hitting receiver. He needed to take somebody else instead of Joe Burrow on that last pick. He needs to take a non-suspended guy as wide receiver too. He's got to do better. Reed's a faller and he's reaching for him here. That's not how you bail out a heavy RB start. Not how do you bail out the RB piggy, play the GIF. It's not how you bail that out here. So I think that's where, it doesn't matter how you start. It matters the overall draft capital bucketing and stuff like that. That's how best ball's played. Shout out to all you guys watching live or after the fact as well. Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, get any value out of the video. Of course, look, I get where I fall in the pecking order. Pete's got a stream on. My pal Pete Overzet, I know he's going to kick my dick in. Even when the guests are like, emo cowboy. But Tyler, people are like, yeah, I love Tyler now. Tyler's moving up the food chain. He's going to pass me in terms of where people view things, and I'm proud of him for it. Either way, though, I'm getting my dick kicked in on a Friday, so please show some love. If you enjoy the stream, hit the like button, whether it is on Twitter or on YouTube, both places that we're streaming these days, and follow, subscribe, whatever. Lots more content coming up this DFS season. Of course, that's where I think I'm arguably more valuable. I don't know. Best ball, I think there's valuable things we talk about here. A lot of you guys have been very kind this year as well. Not the regular, not the other weirdos out there. A lot of you guys, people have been saying like, oh, I learned best ball watching Spags streams or my streams with Pete. I've seen those tweets coming through a little bit more lately. Nice to see that stuff. That said, for best ball, a lot of it still just comes down to the luck of the draw, the pod luck. The guys who spike. Guy like T. Higgins, I would have never really thought would spike in the way he did, that carried teams in the playoff last year, given the fact he had the contract stuff early on, that he was injured for a significant portion of the year. But that's best ball. You just build teams, hope you have good principles that go into them. Hopefully it works out. David Montgomery falling a little bit here, which I think he's a pretty valid RB3 at this point. Nothing else I really want to go to my way to get. Could make a case, I guess, take a TJ Hawkinson, get the Detroit, Minnesota stack going that way. But I'm not doing that. So we'll see. We got this next pick coming up here. The Montgomery, pick 82. I think it's a nice price tag. Happy to do it. Oh, thank you, Robert, for the turd. Here's some money. I like money. I appreciate your money. Thank you for the support, Robert, for the turd. One of my favorites here. But you too can buy your way into my heart by hitting that like button and also paying me money. That's how you literally would buy your way into my heart. So I'm just straight whoring now. We got Aaron Jones coming back here. Could do a 0-4-4 build. I don't mind Hawkinson either. Can really set up for that side of the Detroit, Minnesota stack. But I think Aaron Jones, again, a nice little discount in ADP when we have a build that I like it right now, the balance we have. Not anybody I really want to go out of my way to reach up and get at receiver. So I am going to go with a 4 RB start here. So Kyren Williams, James Cook, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones. I think the draft capital aligns well enough for how I'd view it. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall. So everybody healthy, able to go. We don't have to make up any projection points and things right now. Nothing at QB, nothing at tight end. We're going to have to obviously hit those in the next few rounds, but I'm liking the start. I think it's definitely a tough balance. Is this official? Brian Robinson and the Niners? I mean, they were one of the teams rumored to be interested in a trade. Think you're getting, it's official here. So shout out to In the Thoughts, got it first. Brian Robinson Jr. to be traded to the 49ers. As somebody that has like 15 to 17% Brian Robinson, again, making the bet mostly because of the Washington side of the equation, the Jane Daniels part of things. I don't think that's the biggest upside spot for Brian Robinson. I'm actually looking at my Brian Robinson exposure right now. 15% overall, 16% of which is on Underdog. 12% DraftKings, 11% Drafters. I mean, the thing is, like, he might not be guaranteed a real role. So if you're a McCaffrey drafter, I think that's still valid. I do think Robinson, let's look at the numbers. Compare him to Jordan Mason, because I think that's where we're really going to get the most value out of this. Because Mason, when he was there last year, still healthy, and McCaffrey came back in, they'd still given Mason like 5 to 10 touches a game, I want to say. Might actually be worth going through the box scores and seeing how we could parse that out. Mason last year, though, playing for the Niners, and obviously this includes the time where he was a lead back for McCaffrey, a negative 0.02 EPA per rush, so I think a little bit more efficient than Brian Robinson there. 0.37 EPA per pass. Brian Robinson was a negative 0.07 there, so he is worse than Jordan Mason in that capacity. Brian Robinson had a 13% avoided tackle rate. Jordan Mason had 18% and change, so he was better there. Jordan Mason, including the time where he got banged up and McCaffrey was also in, kind of took his role back. Jordan Mason ended up averaging 2.8 red zone rushes a game. No red zone targets. So that's a little bit low. But if Brian Robinson ends up at 1.5 red zone rushes a game, I don't think he'd be mad at that. That's kind of the Tyler Algier range. He put up 1.6 last year behind Bijan in terms of red zone rushes. Yeah, I would say, to be totally honest, Brian Robinson looks like a worse version of Jordan Mason in terms of everything I'm seeing. I think that's how I would value him, is mostly contingent value. But, there's also the thing, too, with Robinson. It's just the Niners depth chart is totally injured right now, where Jordan James is banged up. Like, pretty much everybody they have on that depth chart for the Niners has had some injury besides McCaffrey this offseason. It's not really a thing where I think Robinson is like guaranteed to have even that, that role that Robinson or that Mason had last year. So that's the tricky part in terms of how I'd view it, but who knows? Big discount on Chris Godwin here. Darnell Mooney also hanging around. I'm going to go Mooney here. I do scoop Chris Godwin at the value a good amount. That said, Mooney, when we have this Atlanta Rams bet, very obvious fit, hopefully, for Michael Penix coming up. I'm going to grab the 5th receiver as Darnell Mooney, the guy who should be in earlier, and we'll see what we get on the way back. Robinson, if I had to guess in this room, knowing that news, oof. He's got to fall to like 130 at least. It's all bad for Garendo. I mean, Garendo's at least a different kind of back. He should be able to catch passes. He's a lot faster. Thing is, like, Robinson's a threat to take work in the red zone because, like, that's what a power back does. Is why you bring in a guy like Robinson. Garendo's still a threat to take, between the 20s work, things that have home run potential. I think he'd still be in the hunt, potentially have. That's tough. That's tough. All right. All right, go up and get Jared Goff or take Chris Godwin as wide receiver 6. And I think in terms of how I valued him this entire offseason, not including the injuries and all that, I think he's a wide receiver 3. I'm going to go Godwin here. I'm going to try to make this wide receiver room a little bit more potent. Pearsall's a guy I think will spike. I'm not sure that I'm sold on him being even, Juwan Jennings level of target earning. Jennings was a great target earner last year. I think was over 25%. Jennings actually 28.7% targets per out run last year. I don't think Pearsall can get to that level, but I do think he can make himself a little bit better, to have some upside. So I should give the team a read as well, even though we're on the big board view. So you're seeing the draft as it goes live here. We got 4 running backs: Kyren Williams, James Cook, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones. A receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London. 2 receivers start for me. Then we skip for a little bit to take the running backs. Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, Chris Godwin. No QBs, no tight ends yet. That is the risk point for this team right now. Big QB run coming up here, so might miss out on some stacking options, but I like how the team looks. Just a matter of this, how QB frenetic this room is going to be for these next 10 picks, whatever, 13 picks before I come back. That's how it looks. CMC disappearing act 2 to save B-Rob bags. I mean, now the thing is, like, even if McCaffrey went down, like, Robinson wouldn't be the alpha back there. Like, he wouldn't get you, I don't think he would get you 20 touches a game. I would worry for Robinson if you've been taking him, especially as much as I have, that 15% range, almost 2x the field. I'd really worry that he is now just purely contingent value, and not even contingent value where, like, that's guaranteed if the guy in front of him or the guys in front of him go down. I think he would need Garendo and McCaffrey to go down to get full run out here. But, look, the Niners are a team that should score points. They're still, assuming that they get healthy and, Ayuk gets back out there, still a team that should get the ball in a position to succeed. And if McCaffrey is diminished in terms of his ability, which I think I saw last year based on the fact he was the worst he's been in pretty much every metric I tracked, the EPA stuff, the avoided tackle rate stuff, the actual workload stuff, it just wasn't there for him the same way. Obviously, he was coming off, an Achilles injury risk thing as well. So I got to kind of balance both parts of that out. There's an opportunity for Robinson. I just wouldn't take Robinson, I think, until the 150s. So we'll see where he goes here. His replacement, or one of his replacements, Corey Krosky-Merritt, going at 102. Nolan making the point, I've made it a bunch. Eckler, trusted vet in a team that just made the conference championship. I agree that Eckler should be going probably in this 120-ish range for sure. Yeah, people want Bill Krosky-Merritt. I am not the biggest Bill Krosky-Merritt believer. I think there's enough signal that it's one of those things, if I got it wrong this year, I'm going to get killed by it, and I fully accept that as my fate. I just think Eckler, with what we saw last year, and again, taking the signal like people do with Bucky Irving here in the role down the stretch last year, we did see Eckler kind of dominate that role, take it away from Brian Robinson on the stretch and the parts that actually mattered last year. So I think Eckler's still the guy they trust the most, especially in high leverage spots. All right. What does this guy do? All right, he takes Brian Robinson. The Brian Robinson slides at 129, ends at this room at 129. Jared Goff, we got a stack here. When McCarthy went early, thought we might not get a Detroit, Minnesota stack, but we do have Jared Goff stacked up with Montgomery and Amon-Ra and a bring back of Aaron Jones. So Detroit, Minnesota, week 17 stack complete. That goal done. See what these guys do here, but I think the next move for me, I'm hopefully not giving anything away. This guy's going to fucking reach for Penix, isn't he? He took Pitts early. Okay. It's like, this guy fucking takes Penix here, but I'm going to get Penix, assuming he comes back to me here, and just make that work for the Atlanta Rams bet we have that's pretty big. Trevor Lawrence goes. Penix, no shot of coming back to me, or if there is a shot, I don't want to risk it. Michael Penix, come on down. Wide receiver, or QB2 for me. So 6 receivers, 4 RBs, 2 QBs at this point. The ladies love to reach for Penix. Yes, put Penix in is what the memes say. Oh, that porn star face. Jared Goff, you know what I'm talking about. If you think about the one that's like, you know, that's her eyes are open. She's like, you probably didn't want me to recreate that face for you, but you know the one. That's Adam Levitate has tweeted. Put Penix in. We got Penix in this team. We shoved him in. Jared Goff, Michael Penix. We came early with Michael Penix. Kyren Williams, James Cook, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones. Top 4 strong for me right now. Still want to get at least one more on here, if not 2. At receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, and Chris Godwin. I mean, having Chris Godwin as wide receiver 6 for me, I think is really strong. He is a guy that, in my opinion, should be, if he were healthy and, you know, we knew that he was good to go and practiced and all that stuff, I think he'd be valued by Cortland Sutton's range. Instead, Emeka Egbuka is there. Godwin's still getting paid, what, $25 million a year? I guess 22.5 or something guaranteed per year for the next 2 years. Still getting paid big money. I still like the bet on Godwin here, even though I'm just dollar costing him down at this point. I've been showing you the big board view the whole time, but you know what? I read my team out loud. You got it. You got the deal. Spags on a couch surrounded by NFL players. That's true. That's what I am. I got Derrick Henry's head behind me. Derrick Henry, by the way, nothing of note about him. I just put him on here. He is one of my highest exposed guys still. Still have Derrick Henry at across everything. Let's see. Oh, he's come down for me. Derrick Henry down to 13.2%. Still 14% though in Underdog. A lot of BBM entries, I think, for Derrick Henry as well. But yeah, low on him. Of course, get back to my exposures later on. Just checking in on some players I'm curious about. There's a while there where Derrick Henry was looking like he was going to be a defining stand for me this year because just didn't think he should be going at, you know, the 1-2 turn and be available every single time there. Now he's come up a little bit, though. Here he still goes at pick 13, as you'll see up here. I guess my face is in front of it. But point being is Henry went where he usually goes now, but there was a while you could get him at the 17th pick, 18th pick, sometimes it's the 20th pick. I was buying Henry whenever those opportunities were there, so I do have a very positive, shocked face for Derrick Henry. I'm shocked how much I like Derrick Henry, but he was good. Saw people speculating that Godwin didn't go to New England because they knew he wouldn't pass his physical. I did see that too. Nobody credible reported it, but it's possible. I mean, he certainly had a lot more goodwill in Tampa Bay that if he's going to sneak an injury by, that'd be it. But yeah, that would definitely offer up some risk. Like even if he wanted to go New England, it is still a lot of risk to take on to, have them potentially just decide they don't want to go in that direction. Then you use the injury as cover, as teams have done in the past. So I get it. Spears goes, Eckler goes, 2 guys I normally would love to scoop in this range. Really no more natural correlation available for us. So I'm going to go Brenton Strange. He's a guy I've been trying to get more of down the home stretch because I like Brenton Strange. I haven't prioritized him, and it feels like ADP-wise, so it's been hard for me to pin him down because I'm not taking a crazy amount of Trevor Lawrence. But I've got 10% Brenton Strange right now across every site, 9% on Underdog. I would like to get more Brenton Strange on the home stretch. So I'm going to take him with that last pick. Oh, my God. Dante Thornton up to 155. He's still competing with Trey Tucker for that outside receiver role for Vegas. I would not see him up Dante Thornton that much personally. This guy better take Geno here. If you're going to reach for Thornton, at least grab Geno, make a stack. Goes Jayden Blue. All right. I mean, frankly, I think Algier makes sense. One more RB there. I wouldn't hate doing the third QB with Geno, but I'm going to wait on that for now. I think Algiers is a nice pick, given that we have this Atlanta bet. Game scripts where Penix and London hit and Mooney hit, probably not Algier game scripts unless they're just putting up 50 points at Algiers, then running in touchdowns, with they don't have to mask the pass and run it all. Because when they do want to do that, that's a big thing with the league too, as a trend that, that's part of why Brian Robinson got moved on from by Washington rather. It's why, Ashton Jeanty, they're using more in the pass game because they don't want it to be transparent that he's going to be running the ball. That's sort of the focus for a lot of these teams this year, is like having that multiplicity, being able to show that we're not just going to run the ball up the gut because this guy is in. So for me, a lot of the guys like Algier, less valuable in terms of how the league views them right now. But still guys, when Atlanta's ahead, like Algier does take that work, does get more goal line opportunities. And he's still a guy that on the course of that year, Bijan having good work, being obviously heavily involved last season with the new offense. Algier still had 1.6 red zone rushes a game, no red zone targets because it's not what he's there for. Algier can have a lot of utility. So don't know that he correlates perfectly with like an Atlanta stack, but in weeks where Penix and the pass game core isn't hitting, I would think that Algier has a higher shot of hitting. I don't know if that totally makes sense though. Betting on Eckler and Rodriguez, JCM top 100 seems like a setup. Our guy Jerry back after the great Dalvin Cook wounds have now healed. JCM's the guy you need, then I guess better luck next year. I mean, look, I would say that it's unlikely you would need JCM. What I think people would be hoping for is that if you took him a lot early on, is that he becomes a Kyren Williams type. And frankly, the drum beat for him was not dissimilar from Kyren. It was different in some respects because Kyren started getting on people's radar because he was the third down back for the Rams. JCM got on people's radar because it was like, oh, he's putting up good practice after good practice. And then like he's working in with the first team a little bit. I didn't buy it enough because I just didn't see the pedigree there. He's old relative to running backs. Have to get used to that in general for a lot of people because college players now are going to be older because the NIL situations and how that works. And that could mean that he's more ready for prime time, I guess, to step on the field and be ready to produce year one. I just strongly believe it sounds like running back by committee. I've mentioned before on stream, I don't know if it was on here or on Stochastic, but Ben Standig, the guy who got it right, and I was like kind of leery about because he left the Athletic, and you never know if that means this guy left because they didn't think he did good work or whatever. He's now got a Substack now. Check it out if you want to support Commanders-based reporting. But he had mentioned, again, he got it right the entire time about them forcing Robinson out, liking Krosky Merritt as part of that reason. But he's been saying lately, and he actually asked, he was the one, you saw his clip on social media, he's the one that asked Dan Quinn, is Chris Rodriguez going to be the replacement for Brian Robinson? Is he going to be the goal line back? He said it's going to be a running back by committee. So I think just knowing that inherently, like Krosky Merritt overvalued because he's being treated like he's the one that's going to take over this whole thing. And I don't think that's the case. Geno Smith is still here. I didn't take him last time. I'm taking him this time. Adam Thielen hanging around here in Underdog. It's possible he has a late rise. Underdog ADPs update a little bit more slowly. But that said, it does seem like for Thielen right now, a lot of rumors linking him to the Vikings. Vikings apparently requested him in a deal. It was what Adam Schefter reported this morning. I still find it hard to believe Carolina wants to give him up, but if the price tag's right, they seem to like Coker enough. It should move Thielen up if he goes to the Vikings and has some time to fill in as a wide receiver 2 with Addison being out for the first couple games in that suspension. But it also should make Coker a little more on your radar. So both guys, I think, wheels up to take relative to, how much you'd take them normally. Want to get some more in at tight end. I'm going to do that with Jonnu Smith. Guy's getting paid a lot at tight end for Pittsburgh this year, even though I know he's not anywhere near as valuable as he probably was last year for Miami, where he had a great red zone role, great target earning as well, out-targeted per route. Guys like Tyreek and Jalen Waddle in that offense, or actually I think it was like neck and neck with Tyreek, was safely ahead of Waddle. I liked Jonnu a lot more last year, but still a guy when I'm dying at tight end or I just want to add some volume late, it's probably a better way to put it. John is one of the first guys I go to. So let's give my team a read here on my 3 QBs, and I might do a weird extra tight end. Might go 2 more rounds of tight end here. But the team right now, 3-5-6-2. We got Jared Goff, Michael Penix, Geno Smith, RB, Kyren Williams, James Cook, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Tyler Algier, rounding out the RB room, and probably my last RB pick because I think we've got enough draft capital here with 4 RBs in the top 100. At receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Cortland Sutton. Wanted Bo Nix, but he went pretty early today. Ricky Pearsall is wide receiver 4. Darnell Mooney, who should be back in early enough, wide receiver 5. And Chris Godwin, assuming he's going to miss that first month, great. He's my wide receiver 6. I like him in this build. Brenton Strange, Jonnu Smith, 2 guys I like their price tags at tight end, especially, again, when I'm trying to build a volume-based room. So I'm happy with this team. It's definitely a team that fits how I feel about best ball in 2025. I know sometimes I get comments from people that are like, I think this team is stupid. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. But the teams I'm drafted come from the point of like having bought in on data, having bought in on some sim data from sites like Legendary Upside. There's a lot of great articles out there too. In particular, Hayden Winks does one every year talking about what's worked every year in Best Ball Mania. I'll see if I could find that on his Twitter and link it in the chat, because that's one actually really would recommend you guys read, because I think it also dispels some stuff about going particularly wide receiver heavy while pointing out how important it is to actually get hold on, sorry, just trying to pull up the link, and I'm losing my train of thought in the meantime. Yeah, here's the article. Link in the chat right now. At least on YouTube. I don't think it posts to Twitter's chat. But read that article from Hayden Winks. Even if you've done a million drafts and you think you know everything, read it. It does sort of put forward the idea of getting more RB early, building teams. Like I've been trying to build teams this year. Again, it sucks because I love drafting receivers, love spamming receivers early. I'm one of the most staunch 0 RB guys, or have been in my best ball portfolios. I just don't think this is the year to do that quite as much. All right, so we have correlation one way with Geno Smith here. So I'm going to grab Theo Johnson, another guy I'm trying to get more of here because I feel like I've got enough Jatavian Sanders at this point. He's one of my highest exposed players overall, a little bit over 16%, so 2x the field. I'm going to go Theo Johnson's way here. I don't know if I should show you the screen or not. I know people like the big board view, so I'm keeping the big board view up. But here you can see my screen where I'm making picks as well. It is potentially a Michael Mayer-ass team. He's the one I've been thinking of here. Because I don't know what Trey Tucker does for this team. Raheem Mostert might do something for us at running back, so I don't think that'd be an insane pick. But I would like to get one more tight end in here, and I am going to take a shot at Michael Mayer, a guy whose preseason workload, if you are following the work of PFF's Nathan Yankee, I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's spelled like Jahnke, but I think it's like Jonky. Might be Yankee. Daddy Yankee, he's also doing really great merengue stuff. Michael Mayer's workload in that preseason game, I would say worrisome for Brock Bowers. Obviously, Bowers is once in a lifetime, at least once in every few years, tight end talent. Coming in terms of the draft capital he has. But Mayer was out there a lot for, 12, potentially even 13 personnel they could do. I think Mayer's in the hunt as a pick, probably more so on DraftKings. But the final team here, 3-5-6-4. Again, really trying to address tight end adequately, making sure to get 3 QBs if I can as well, especially with this kind of room. Jared Goff, Michael Penix, Geno Smith, all of them now stacked up, and really wouldn't have wanted a Goff-Geno team by itself because they both have week 8 buys. So Penix breaks that up. At RB, we took some capital here early on with Kyren Williams and James Cook. David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, all guys with real roles. Tyler Algier, more of a contingent value, but still in the hunt for some touchdowns. At receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, Chris Godwin. Why not Besharary McLeod? Because they're probably not going to make it over the top 6 I have here very often. What are the big data findings as well, no matter if it's Legendary Upside Sim data, other sites out there as well that have crunched data, Hayden Winks column that I just linked in the chat. People probably take too many receivers, and you want to just have better receivers. And that's sort of the goal, getting enough in your top 100, getting enough in your first 6 rounds. We did that here, so you don't want to just add on a Ray McLeod just because he correlates. Tight end, I need help with guys like Brenton Strange, Jonnu Smith, Theo Johnson. You need tight end more, and tight ends help you advance more. So that's sort of the focus here. But anyway, top 6 ends with Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, and tight end, Brenton Strange, Jonnu Smith, Theo Johnson, Michael Mayer. So got kind of a build that you couldn't get earlier in drafts with Mooney and Godwin. Got the 4 tight ends here because I don't think the top 3 was good enough. And I felt good enough at RB, good enough at receiver. This is a team that I feel really strongly about this year in terms of how I like building things. A lot of my teams look like that, and that is going to be the case for this team. This team that I'm talking about looks like teams I build, and I did build it. All right, going to go to DraftKings next. All right, here we go. 5 out of 12 spots. filled. You got 7 spots here if you want to draft today on DraftKings. Of course, DraftKings 20-round draft coming up. Underdog was just an 18-round draft, so we'll have a little bit more depth. We'll have more of that coming up here. And of course, look, my pal Pete's competing against me today, but I'll tell you one thing I can do that Pete can't. Number 1, please a woman. No, actually, that's greatly untrue. Number 1, though, Pete can only draft an underdog. I draft on DraftKings. Drafters, of course, our presenting sponsor here. Underdog. I'm showing you what my actual best ball play looks like across all these sites. You too can be a part of that if you want. So please do join here on DraftKings. Not you fucking weirdo in the 5-hole. I swear to God, this guy's going to be in like 70% of my DraftKings drafts this year. The guy who's been stalking me for years now. Still obsessed, still watches every stream, still downvotes every stream. Don't be like the guy in the 5-hole. And if you are, consider going to Home Depot, go into the noose section, the cartoon style section where they have just a bunch of nooses hanging around. No pun intended, but pun also intended. Please a woman in 3 holes. I'm sure you can. I feel like 4 tight end is better on DK. It is, but again, it just comes down to the draft capital allotment. You don't want to take 4 tight end when you have Brock Bowers. You take 4 tight ends when you don't have good tight ends and you've spent enough at RB and wide receiver, and that team had. So you just don't like, what does Ray McLeod do for you? Not a whole lot. What does Michael Mayer potentially do for me? If he's on the field, he might help me advance more by scoring more than the other 3, the very least we could say spike week tight ends I have in front of him. So that's the logic there. If you don't get it, that's okay. You draft a different way. Spend more capital at tight end and take less. Same thing for RB. Same thing for wide receiver. Any position. Take more early, take less later on. Or take none early and take a lot later on. Tight end, you could do that. 5-hole can't please any. I agree with that. It's just so weird, man. It's really one of the most, like when I do quit streaming one day and I'm done, it's going to be guys like the guy in the 5-hole. They're the reason why I do it. It's not going to be you guys who watch the streams and are like normal people. It's going to be the weirdos. It's going to be the weirdos on Twitter who just haven't ever watched my content and want to be weird to me. People want to threaten violence on me. That's the reason why. But really the weirdos in the weirdo in the 5-hole is like going to be a top 5 reason why I'm just like, why do I do this? If I don't have to do it, if I don't have to do it financially, just a foreshadow for 2026. You guys don't sign up for drafters and this fucking weirdo won't leave me alone. I'm done. I'm out. We got pick 12 here. We got so much fucking time. It's like, it's tough too. Cause like I get everything I want to talk about out of the way in the beginning. Where it's like any news stuff at top of mind, read every athletic article possible, as I always do before every stream. It's like I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. It's important. And there's really nothing that's important right now. It's like some guys might get cut, but it's mostly guys that don't really matter. Your Dante Miller types in the Giants, where it's like, oh, maybe he makes the team if Scadaboo starts the season on PUP. He's not starting the season on PUP. That's how it is. Is it boom football time? I mean, it is in 13 days. In 13 days, guys, by the way, until NFL season starts. So if you're planning on getting drafts in, I've only got, I think 15 BBMs left after that draft. Probably got another, I don't know. I don't even know how many on DraftKings. Whatever I have to do on stream, plus a few more off stream. But make sure you have kind of a read on what your end game is here. If you're trying to max some stuff out, trying to get an action on drafters, which I really would recommend. It's because of the potential of a really big overlay. And of course, because promo code SPLASH on drafters does look pretty good. Of course, drafters.com, down the drafters app. Be mindful of how much you got to get done, because that's when best ball gets less fun. I would also say too, the slow drafts. I'm now down to like 20 slow drafts. 4-hour clock fucking shit. I hate having to like queue stuff up at night before it. Slow drafts, I've worked into a science this year where like I hit it when I get the alert, hit it before bedtime, hit it when I wake up, or shortly thereafter whenever Luca's going to school, and then I can get some time to focus on it. But do it in the morning with a 4-hour clock. It's like I got to queue stuff in advance for going to bed. Hate it. So try to get your slow drafts done before that last burst where it's 4-hour clocks, in particular on Underdog, where they just switch it for everything. Even drafts that don't need it, they switch it to 4 hours. It's kind of dumb. But whatever. All right. Puka Nacua goes. Malik Nabers, a little bit of a value to get him at pick 12. We'll do that. And you know what? I feel like this combo has been there for a lot of the season. It is still a week 17 correlation. I haven't taken a ton. Jeanty, Malik Nabers. We'll see if Malik Nabers can last 17 weeks, given the fact he's been hurt for like 5 different body parts in August, which is not really what we want to see. That said, if Giants and the Raiders were playing in week 17, as they are, Jeanty, very high probability of being a guy that, will have a good touchdown equity in that offense. And he doesn't have a Michael Mayer. I guess he has theoretically Raheem Mostert there, but he doesn't have a Michael Mayer competing with him like Brock Bowers does, at least to be on the field. So we'll go with a Nabers Jeanty start. Feeling good about that. Would I advise pulling funds from your saving account, asking for a friend? That would be your personal choice. I don't think savings have to be perpetual. I don't think you have to keep money in savings forever. I wouldn't withdraw from an IRA or 401k to do it. But if it's just in your savings account and it's on a CD or something, and you want to put more money into best ball and you feel like you have a read on it and you've done well with it in the past, you're not an idiot. And Chuck, I don't think you're an idiot, but I'm saying in general, go ahead. I don't know. I'm not going to advise you to do it. None of the stuff I say here is financial advice. But, make responsible choices for yourself. Are you trying to retire? No. Same thing as being a young person, putting money into an index fund that doesn't materialize until 2060 or something. It'll do more aggressive investing early on. If you want to invest aggressively in best ball, then you can. But I wouldn't advise to do it. You're adults, though. How would you feel about 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends if they were really good and then just completely spam RB wide receiver? That's also a valid strategy. There's many different potential pathways to the finish line of best ball to give you a shot at that, the most money. And again, it just comes down to what cards are you bringing here? Did you get a straight? Did you get a flush? Did you get a royal flush? That's probably what you need to win most tournaments, the equivalent of that in best ball. A lot of times, the combos that you get will open it up. But if you have 2 elite QBs, 2 elite tight ends, that's not a good spending of draft capital. So it all comes down to what the team looks like. That's it. I even get tempted to take double elite QB sometimes. Hayden Winks, though, in that article I linked in the chat, I'll link it one more time for the people that are tuning in, because I know some people probably filing off a Peach stream, just because I don't, people move around. I don't know if it's still going or not. This article does talk about not doing double elite QB. The data doesn't support it at all. I would say if you're doing double elite QB, bully tight end with 2 guys in the top 100, that's probably too much capital at QB and tight end because they're onesie positions. That's why I prefer to get the premium positions we need to get the spike week from at RB and wide receiver more so early and get that balance, and then take more volume, especially at tight end where you have a lot of valid starters later on in a draft. If I had to put my money on it, and again, I like getting guys like Bowers and McBride in particular for the high dollar tournaments. I wanted to make sure I got at least 25% of those 2 guys combined, more McBride because of the price tag. I'm pulling that off. But I think for tournaments, I would be not at all surprised / I would put the odds in favor of this year it being a 3 late tight end build, maybe even a 4 late tight end build that pulls it off. Wings will hate your portfolio. I don't think so, because he definitely pushes balanced builds, ADP value, stuff like that. Doesn't talk about ADP as much in that article, though. A couple weeks ago, Jack Miller over at ETR done a pretty big deep dive on ADP and how soaking up value and average draft position matters a lot for having highly projected teams that advance more, teams that make the finals more. So I strongly believe in that. But Winks' article doesn't talk about that. It's more just about taking RBs in this pocket, staggering when you draft QBs. I guess he wouldn't for Robert Griffin III, who takes a lot of QBs with an elite QB, then another guy top 100. I do think he's down on that data-wise, but that might be more for Underdog, where you could take a guy 90 or so, take a guy 120, 130, take a guy 150. I think that's the build he's looking at more so. That work better. We got picks coming up here, though, as I get to do my whatever monologuing in between. Thinking of the 12 hole on DraftKings. I feel like all the fucking time. Got to work out a tight 5 minutes before this. Big fall for JSN, who does not normally fall to the turn. So I'm going to do that. I think that makes us at least a little bit more unique with, I think, a common build here, a Jeanty Nabers start. Mike Evans, I do like in the spot. Garrett Wilson, his ADP's come down enough as well. Kittle, I still like too. Kittle, a little bit of a better ADP pick. Man, this is a tough spot for me. Really need RB the most because Jeanty could start slow, but I'm not going to pull up Breece Hall. I think I'm going to go Mike Evans. I would like to get more Kittle, but I think this build to me screams out, let's get some more receiver out of the way, hopefully hit good RB pockets coming up. So with Jeanty, Nabers, JSN, Mike Evans start, Kittle functionally is getting some hype for possibly being the Niners wide receiver 1, including from beat reporters, because of the fact that Jennings hasn't been out there at all. And Pearsall, going back to college, he's like a 20% target per out run rate guy, was under that last year for the Niners, even though we did see him spike for fantasy. He's never been a huge target earner, or at least hasn't been thus far in his career. It's very possible that Kittle is really pays off his ADP. I just don't take him enough. So doing it again here, I guess. Taking more double elites now because it's the only 0 left in my combos. I don't really know what you mean by that, but I don't think taking more double elites, especially in the same draft, if you take 2 elite QBs. I would never really try to take 2 elite QBs. I've done it in some slow drafts where a guy's been a huge faller. What is this guy doing? Aaron Jones at 39. When you already have Henry, Taylor, and Kenneth Walker, that has to be a misclick or a timeout. That's the kind of error, by the way, that we talk about, and I've mentioned a lot of times here. On DraftKings, you will find 2 to 3 dead teams every single draft you are in. That's been without fail this year. I feel like I've seen that on stream. This team right here, taking Aaron Jones 40 spots ahead of ADP, when you already have 3 qualified running backs and also reached early for 2 of them with Walker and Taylor. That's an awful move. I don't know if that guy, I hope that guy didn't do it on purpose. That's an awful move. Yeah, ultimate RB piggy. So RB piggy that you couldn't imagine a life not picking Aaron Jones 50 spots early. But yeah, I'll play the gift for that. If you're taking Aaron Jones and pick 39, you're an RB piggy who needs to seek Jesus. This is again another team here just killing himself. Lamar and Burrow, unstacked Burrow as well. Really no reason to do that whatsoever. It does nothing for your team besides deprive you of an RB you need, a receiver you need. And you're going to lose out to Burrow stacks anyway. Brutal. Taking Lamar and then taking Burrow as an ADP faller when you have Cincinnati correlation, that makes sense. I've done that before. So there you go. There's your 2 dead teams. We'll see if there's any more that pop out. This one's risking it with taking Kittle. He took him as a big faller, but you got to hit receiver pretty hard now if you've taken 3 RBs, 1 tight end. And that's been the big shift in process for me is you don't want to take too many top receivers. If you get more, great, than less. That's obviously going to be theoretically a positive. But you don't want to trade that for having RBs that have true upside, assuming that things work out anything even close to what they did last year. And I think it is a reflection of how ADPs have sharpened up, how that year worked out and played out, and the things that hit and and didn't hit. Watching out for people that don't take enough receiver firepower is I think still a really crucial thing. He gets Ridley, though, as his first receiver. I think there's hope for that. Ridley's looked great in the preseason. Been banged up a little bit in practice lately, but doesn't fucking matter. Someone went round 8 K'd out in the draft I'm in. Yeah, that's a guy that literally goes last round. In particular an underdog, but on DraftKings, round 17, 18, 19 enough. Would not be doing that. If you go 2 QBs in the top 8 rounds, I suggest forsaking tight end in 20-round contests. I'd agree with that. Yeah, it's when you try to cram both in, then you end up, no man's land. I talk about a lot. When I take QB, RB, wide receiver, tight end in the first 4 rounds, it feels like, oh, great, I'm doing tremendous balance and I've got elites like Lamar or Jayden and Bowers and McBride. But you end up so much short of what you need projection-wise, value-wise at RB at wide receiver, that maybe that combo hits, but you're kind of not making enough of a stand towards anything. And you need to make a stand. Not see another RB. It's stupid. You don't need 5 RBs in a row. You've already made a huge bet on Henry and Taylor and Walker. Spam receiver. I need more at RB, so I'm going to go James Conner here. And this is a tough one for me because really strongly believe Egbuka is not a better click than Devontae Smith. That said, we've got no shot at Jalen Hurts anyway. And I do want to get some more Egbuka overall, so I'll pay the steep price tag here. And we have a concentrated bet on Tampa Bay with Mike Evans. So Mike Evans, Mika Egbuka, Egbuka wide receiver 4. I don't love it, but that's the price you got to pay for him. Jeanty, James Conner, RB room, and then Nabers, JSN with that Tampa Bay duo of Evans and Egbuka. So I think decent balance so far. Want to add some more in the top 100 at RB. Definitely Baker should be a priority. Sometimes he does get sniped in this range here, 82, 83. So hopefully he comes back. This guy took another RB. Best ball week, everybody. Happy best ball. This is fucking ridiculous. Like, how can you do this and think this is what, like, this is a good idea? Sorry to NX. Shouldn't even say his name out loud because it's going to be somebody that finds the stream afterwards and gets, like, mad at me, leaves me a shitty comment. But, like, just, yeah, wasting $20 is wild to me. Just burning money on fire. But a Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, David Montgomery start for the guy in the 10 hole. Is he trying to get the draft thrown out? Does he think that's good? I don't know. Unfortunately, it is good for the room. Even though it doesn't feel like it. He must be. He's like a 2022 Flock fan. He just hasn't, he's been in a cryo chamber and he's like, I remember when this guy Mason was taking a bunch of RBs in a row. And I'm like, that must be the strategy still, right? He's doing it. The thing too is like the start of Henry, Taylor, and Walker. That's kind of fun. Like that can play. Walker hitting the flex, good amount for you. Sure. Can't just take no receivers. Meet the flockers. Oh, it sounds. There's people who I guess don't like that. People now use the phrase clankers to refer to AI in like a slurry way, and I guess it's now become a Twitter bit, which I haven't seen, but I saw this on Reddit, which is not any better. But people I guess are making like a lot of like weird like half kind of racisty jokes about AI, where it sounds like what is it, like wirebacks? They're calling them that and all this weird shit. I don't know what fucking world people are living in where you need to make up slurs for robots. So that's where people are with it right now. And that's one of those things where like I feel like calling them flockers kind of sounds like we're calling them a slur. I don't want to call flock people a slur. Welcome aboard if you're a flock fan. You probably don't know what the fuck I'm doing here though. Yeah, that's fine. The more the merrier, right? That's what I always say on this channel. Splash play, the more the merrier. Not splash play, let's alienate everybody until only people I like are left. Not as good of a catchphrase or a slogan. I am the KY here, going with the early Khalil Shakir. Shakir had a couple weeks where he was going like 80, 90, and now people are like, let's drive him back up again. But if you have Josh Allen, certainly makes sense. I'd probably favor getting cheaper Keon Coleman and cheaper Josh Palmer, but those guys have frankly gotten pretty expensive relatively. That's true. I have to hold the football here, guys. I am holding a football here. Oh, wait, I'll throw it. Oh, and I'll catch it. See that? That's what you get here on this channel. This guy takes Mahomes. Am I just being trolled by this room? Are people just spending $20 to build shitty teams right in my face and laugh at how I'm getting expected value, but wasting my time? I don't think this team's going to get thrown out, but I'll tell you what, you don't need unstacked Patrick Mahomes when you have Lamar and Joe Burrow already. That's good. 3 QBs, good builds. 3 QBs in the top fucking 50 picks, not a good build. It's not literally top 50, but you know, close enough. Bo Nix goes. See what this guy with the stochastic avatar does. Should do something smart, I would hope. Take Juwan Jennings. Take TJ Hawkinson. Take Caleb Johnson if you have to. I don't really like Caleb Johnson that much. A lot of the film bros loving Caleb Johnson, though. He's thinking about it. All right, thank God he doesn't snipe Baker Mayfield, so that's delightful. Baker Mayfield, we need you as part of this build. Come on down. We have this Tampa Bay double stack with Evans and Egbuka. Juwan Jennings falling here. If I want to make receiver room better. Jalen Warren, people are kind of souring on. I think because people, again, the film bros like Caleb Johnson. I still think Jalen Warren, even though he didn't look good in that game yesterday with the limited touches he had, still going to be the guy that gets trusted the most. Jordan Mason, not a bad click either. This is tough. I'm going to go Jalen Warren here if I got it in. Nope, timed out on Juwan Jennings. I trusted my fingers too much. I mean, look, I'm cool with Juwan Jennings as well. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to click Warren, and I think Warren's going to fall in ADP a little bit these last 2 weeks, as that was part of my hesitation here. And I still like Juwan Jennings. I just would like him to be in practice and on pace to play week 1. While We'll buy the dip on Juwan Jennings here at pick, whatever that was, 80-something. As a team so far, Baker Mayfield, Ashton Jeanty, James Conner. We got Malik Nabers, JSN at a pretty big discount. Mike Evans, right at ADP, basically. Egbuka, same thing. Jennings, a little bit of a discount. So 2 RBs, 5 receivers. I think taking a Mason or a Warren would have been nice to balance the roster out a little bit better. But I just like, as you can see by me delaying on it, just didn't like the click that much. So we got Jennings instead. ATN at 88 here. A lot of people wish casting Jacksonville trading one of the running backs. There's been nothing report-wise about that. But I think people now are like, oh, Brian Robinson traded. Like, somebody else is going to get traded. Like, and I don't think that's going to happen. But I guess it's possible. I think what's more likely is that Bashal Tutin being inactive on game days to start the year. Probably what I would think happens. At least him or LaQuint Allen, one of them being inactive. Okay, Matthew saying great squad so far. I appreciate that. Been in a couple rooms recently with a user, G. Ehrenberg. Seems very sharp. All right. I'm glad that Greg Ehrenberg's doing some drafts. Does the longest ad read possible in the stochastic DraftKings streams that I do, because like DraftKings has legalese they have to put into videos, I guess. It's kind of odd though. Like, seems like Neil and Davis, the guys who have DraftKings Best Ball Week deals, don't actually have to do the same ad read. For some reason, Stochastic, though, has to do like a 2-minute ad read. And you should watch the streams because like it's towards the end of the video. If you really, just for the bit, it just goes on forever. Like, it feels like it's going to end and then it goes on again. And that's how every, I guess, like gambling legalese kind of goes. But that one in particular, it's like Greg does a great professional ad read and the ad just goes on forever. Like, I'm sitting here waiting for it to end and I'm just like, ready to talk again. It's like, nope, let's wait another minute. That's it's really, it's like a comical super trooper style bit or a Family Guy bit where it just doesn't, the joke doesn't end. Let's give this team a read though. Team so far, only 2 RBs, Ashton Jeanty, James Conner. So a little bit behind where I'd like to be, just knowing what I know of drafting in 2025. We got Baker Mayfield with Jeanty and Conner, Malik Nabers, JSN, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, part of that Tampa Bay double that made us take Baker Mayfield, and Juwan Jennings. So definitely would like to get some RBs back that are tasty treats. RBs that we can bring on the team with the implication. Just going to quote Always Sunny things. I have not watched the season of Always Sunny. Apparently it's a good season. I'd like to catch up with it. But I've not watched it yet. Serious gambling ad read followed by use code Ding Dong Schlong. 15% off. Yeah, that's also fair. I think it's fair to point out the inconsistencies in branding. But if you do watch my stochastic stuff, keep in mind, it'll be all actually, so it's going to be a change here too. Still planning to do my Sunday stream here on the Splash Play channel, where I do my kind of last look at the Sims, the data, all that stuff. But then I'll be doing Live Before Lock on Sundays with Eric Lindquist too, it looks like. So going to try to get my lineups done before being on stream. I'm also planning, this is going to be a change in my process, but just because we got time to fill here, planning on hand building more teams this year, like using the Sims to kind of give me a foundation of what the data from ETR, from Stochastic look like. But I want to try to hand build 20 maxes, hand build whatever I'm putting into a Millie Maker in a given week. That's one of my goals for the year. Because, look, not to compare myself, but like Uticow does that apparently with his teams, like where he uses an optimizer, but uses it like really customized, where he'll switch stuff around and hop in and really kind of do it. I would like to really try to take advantage of my football knowledge more, as opposed to just kind of putting my legs up and letting the sim have its way with me. So that's one of my goals for 2025, but we'll see how much that works out practically with 2 streams on Sunday morning. Who knows? All right, we got picks coming up here. All right, so this is part of why I was pretty content with letting Juwan Jennings time out for me. We got Brock Purdy here now, a better QB bet than we would have had otherwise, so I'm going to take him here. I could do the Niners correlation with Brian Robinson as well. That feels kind of silly, though. RB is dog shit at this spot, though. Jesus Christ. I hate this. I hate where we're picking right now. We could take Chris Godwin for the Tampa Bay stack and try to push RB further down the pike. I'm just going to take the Niners correlation with Brian Robinson. He's probably got a much cheaper ADP. I think I'm grabbing a falling knife here. I feel pretty confidently, in fact, I'm grabbing a falling knife. That said, I don't know when somebody else is going to click Brian Robinson. I need an RB. There's a world where he could pay off at the very least, get some amount of touchdown equity. Hopefully, if McCaffrey's healthy, I'm going to take that shot here, even though I don't feel great about it. So like our two QBs, like getting Brock Purdy, like getting Baker Mayfield. Don't like Brian Robinson at this stage as RB3, even with having Jeanty and Connor fairly solid picks up top. Still think I want to get to at least 6 running backs in this room. But right now, it's Baker Mayfield, Ashton Jeanty, James Conner, Malik Nabers, JSN, 2 QBs who I don't know what the starter is going to be for either team in week 17. Doesn't make me feel great about the stack. But we got a good QB with Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield paired up, Egbuka, same thing. Jennings, same thing with Purdy. And then Brian Robinson, our newest Niner. Wonder what they gave up. Has that come out yet for Brian Robinson, what they gave up for him? Got to think it's like 6-rounder. Maybe a pick swap late in a draft. Probably nothing. I really like the single lineup builder tool. Really helped with hand building last year. I had some success in MLB with the single lineup tool last year too. So I'm curious about doing that stuff more. It's hard to do it for like 20 entries, let alone like the 30 or whatever, counting how many I put in for the Millie Maker. That's the hard part for me, but I'm going to try to figure it out. Love a good hand build. All I've ever done, mostly for monetary reasons. Yeah, I think the main thing is that at this stage, just taking what the sim gives you on that superficial level, using the data that they give you and just kind of working off that and building all your teams off of that. I don't think it's how I want to play it. Even the people who won with like stochastic sims generally are changing one central conceit in the sim to give them a different look at lineups. I just think that's the way you probably have to play this year. It's a gut read, though. Definitely listen to some content, too, and hoping for that. Here we go. Dumb and Dumber and Dumber. Okay, great username. 6th round in Washington's paying some of base salary. All right, so they basically had to put in some money to get any pick back. Okay, a 6th rounder. Yeah, not a lot. Not a lot. Got Hurts at pick 62 earlier today. Sadly, I crashed the plane and no passengers survived. That's tough. Yeah, for Philly, getting Hurts late is great. If you don't get Hurts, though, with one of Brown, Devontae Smith, even Saquon doesn't feel quite as great. You can add on Mechie or Dotson, who's probably ahead of Mechie late. Obviously, Goddard's there, too, if you want to do that. But the Hurts stacks without the key players do feel a little bit flimsy. Because the way he really hits and spikes meaningfully in week 17 is probably one of A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith gets there relative to their ADPs. And then Hurts probably runs in a touchdown or 2 on top of that. So tough to get that combo and feel like you have the best Jalen Hurts setup for week 17, unless you're getting some of that. But I get buying the dip. Getting Hurts at 62, I wouldn't pass it up. Do my best hand building in the shower. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Gabe Davis has a lot of time to do some hand building in the shower these days. It's either job hunting for Gabe Davis. This guy is still, by the way, this guy in the 10 hole has not taken a receiver through round 11 yet. So he really just burning it. This might be in the 10 hole, still none through 11. One of the worst teams I've seen built on stream. And it might not even be that close, to be honest. We need to make it up at RB a little bit here. So I'm going to go Braylon Allen, a guy who's risen a little bit, getting him slightly after ADP here, but not much that in a way that matters. I think if we take a third QB, we already have those stacks set up. Tucker Kraft, ADP follower. We do need a tight end. RB, though, I think I need to make up more. So I'm going to go up and get, actually going to get Austin Eckler. We've talked about Austin Eckler, I feel like should be in that 120 range. At this stage of things, with only 13 days left till the season starts, I'm willing to go up and get guys I think are just mispriced, like Eckler. Eckler, though, in rooms, he does go ahead of ADP, usually just not so far ahead of ADP. But to me, Eckler being valued top 130, I think is what I want to do. And I've got enough Eckler, so I really don't need more. But I think he rounds out this room better where we kind of starved RB a little bit too much. So the team so far is Baker Mayfield at QB, stacked up, double stack with Tampa Bay. We have Ashton Jeanty, James Conner. Malik Nabers, JSN is a nice faller here. He doesn't usually get to the turn. Got him there today. Mike Evans as well. Emeka Egbuka, part of that Tampa Bay stack. Juwan Jennings timed out, but it was a happy accident, let's say. Brock Purdy took the falling Brian Robinson Jr., who I think is absolutely not valued correctly with me taking him where I did. Like, I don't think that's where you want to take him. I think you want to take him in the 140s if you can, even 150. If he falls there, I don't know what the falling knife goes to. But because we had the Niners bet, I was pretty comfortable taking him today. Braylon Allen, Austin Eckler, getting these guys back as well. I think makes me feel less bad about the Brian Robinson bet. So when I add on my 7 tight ends in this room, I think I'll feel a lot better about this team. This guy takes Likely now at 135. Takes him 40 spots ahead. This guy is... I don't even think you'd be drafting off rankings. Like, it's not given the auto draft thing. This is stupid. This is... he took a 3rd tight end. He's got 3 QBs, 3 tight ends, all running backs, no receivers. Like, I don't even know. Even if, like, you believed you could save this team somehow by hitting receiver, you're still only getting 8 receivers in. Must have some inside tight end information. You better have the fucking almanac from Back to the Future. You got to draft a team like that. All the RBs who go top 100 were in a plane together and it crashed. What a tragedy we know from the future. It's the only way this team is justified right now. Adam Thielen with that much higher price tag on DraftKings as we talked about. I think it would probably come up to Christian Kirk range if he went to Minnesota. On Underdog, he probably would get up to this range if he got traded to Minnesota. Gonna crush the -1 PPR league. Yeah, that's it. It's like, oh, he's got different scoring for the receiver room. Eckler or Bill straight up. I don't think the market pricing for that would support it. For me, I think Krosky Merritt should be priced 110s to 120 range, like the Scadaboo range, where it's like this guy could be something that really matters, but we're not as sure of it as we'd like to be. I think that's more where he should be priced. But Krosky Merritt goes top 100, so like, I don't know. Yeah, the market price is the market price. Like, if I want to buy a car, I don't get to make up. I get to negotiate a little bit, and that's where the ADP wiggle room, I guess, would come in. But I don't get to tell them that, hey, your car shouldn't be worth $25,000. It's worth $25,000. I got to be around $25,000. So Krosky Merritt, I think if you get him, I mean, here he went 102. I personally wouldn't put him ahead of Mixon, but I think that's fair that that's the range people want to price him at. And you got to pay the price to buy it. But in terms of who I think is the higher scorer this year, I would say Eckler. I mean, I get why we would prioritize Bill Krosky Merritt, JCM, BCM, Turner Classic Movies. I get why we prioritize him more than Eckler. But I think practically, based on what I've seen from the Commanders, look, I got the Robinson thing completely wrong. So I don't, you want to throw me out the window with that. And it's frustrating, too, to get that completely wrong. It's like I literally watched every play the Commanders played last year. I couldn't be more in terms of the eyeball test stuff. And, you know, and also the data, too, and knowing Robinson got a lot of work and volume, got that shit totally wrong. So I don't know, but I think I would favor Eckler. Do I value Bill a little bit higher than Scat tier just because drafted percentage? I have a hard time separating my priors of college data because a lot of what I believe in is that certain rookies can land in situations that give them upside. But fundamentally, what we're looking for is guys who are great in college and the stuff that I look at: avoided tackle rate, efficiency stats, earning volume. And those guys, you know, if they do that, they're ready to play and hit really hard year one. And I think if they're not good in those categories, that's where I think things tend to be a little bit uglier. Krosky Merritt doesn't fit my criteria. Scadaboo does, so I would favor Scadaboo. But I think in terms of price and like the fact that Scadaboo hasn't torn up the roster like Krosky Merritt has, I get why people would want Krosky Merritt more, and I think that's fair. 2550, Luther Burden falling precipitously here. I get he's not a super well projected play at the stage, but I think 20 spots of ADP value, I guess 24. I'm just going to take Burden and hope he beats out Olamide Zaccheaus at some point. So he'll be my 6th receiver here. Would like more at RB, but this is not a great RB spot to pick from. Do you have the fall on Brandon Ayuk if I really want to hammer receiver here? Third QB if I'm going to take that. I'm going to go get Algier. Oh, I didn't make the click again. Fuck me. I'm like, is there like a slight delay? I feel like I'm always a late clicker. This is the second one I've missed today, but Ayuk is fine. I just don't really need the 7th receiver right now. Obviously, I can cover for Ayuk pretty well. I was going to go up and grab Algier just because I think we need more projection at RB. But really, again, nobody I feel that strongly about at this stage. Maybe going to get Darnold would have been another move, but he might come all the way back. So we're doing what we're doing. Team right now, we have Baker Mayfield, Ashton Jeanty. I'm like, I feel like there's got to be a slight delay though, because I usually don't miss 2 clicks on a draft. Maybe I'm just slow today, both mentally, physically. The team so far: Baker Mayfield, Ashton Jeanty, James Conner, Malik Nabers, JSN. Nice fall from him. I think the combo up top got more unique for that. Mike Evans as well, 3rd receiver. Mika Egbuka, part of the Tampa Bay stack. Juwan Jennings, accidental click or misclick here, didn't get him, but it did inform what I was going to do. Brock Purdy, Brian Robinson, our new Niner, took him part of the team. Braylon Allen and Eckler, I think guys had flushed out the RB room. We also have Chicago correlation now with Luther Burden. Increased our Niners bet with Brandon Ayuk unintentionally, fully on this one, but we got him well after ADP. I'm just perplexed by me fucking up 2 clicks on a draft. That's on me. I would put up, it's funny too, like, and it's, I don't know, this is funny. I would put my reaction time up against anybody else in the world of best ball because like I play more video games than those people. I'm pretty confident. And I play Overwatch way too much relative to a 40-year-old man. That said, I would put my clicking ability up against anybody, not with a mouse though. You do use a console. But like I have good reaction time. Like I can beat little Korean kids. I'm good at what I do. I have to blame the tools. I don't think this is my fault. Sometimes the JavaScript is a little bit off. You guys know. Can I do a rundown of week 17 weather? Yeah, it's all clear. All clear. I would worry about week 17 weather. Is what I would do. Best in the business. Not today at clicking, but it's best content in the business. Please, guys, show some love if you can. Whether you are a new face, an old face, well, not literally old, but face has been around a while. Hit that like button, subscribe, goes a long way for me here. The only guy in the biz who catches a football on stream and only rarely drop it. One time I accidentally hit my camera because my arm was too strong, threw it too far. But I'm here doing the work here, showing you guys my gambling and best ball, giving the best data I have from my friends Sports Info Solutions, knowledge I've picked up over the years at Stochastic, running Football Outsiders, working with the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. I got it all here for you guys. I do the best I can to give you some value back in a biz that is just luck-based, you know. But I do the best I can here. And then hit the like button, subscribe. I won't lead you astray as best I can. And of course, use that promo code SPLASH at Drafters, the last stop on our journey. Coming up here, we'll key you guys in on about to enter the draft. But Drafters, total points format, similar to DraftKings in as much as it's 20 rounds and full point PPR. But different because it is a total points format, no pod luck, no playoff pods on there, and a very high likelihood of overlay that this year you are probably not going to get on DraftKings. Definitely not going to get an underdog. So play on Drafters, take a shot at their money there, 500K up top in that tournament. Just a little bit over 50% filled as drafters, and you can draft along with me as well. Coming up after these next few picks that I'm on the clock for. That was a fast one. Need to start grabbing tight end, but I still feel like one more RB would be good. Jerome Ford coming down, but Judkins still doesn't have a contract, and I'm not sure when that impasse ends. So I am going to go with Jerome Ford in this spot. And look, we're going to play the hits here. It's tight end, nothing I feel too empowered by here. So Jonnu Smith, come on down. We're going to add probably 4 tight ends to these next few picks, and that seems fine to me. So round 16 over, got to wait a while for another pick. But the team so far needs a lot more at tight end, but everything else looks good. Baker Mayfield, Ashton Jeanty, James Conner, Malik Nabers, JSN. Might be a Jackson Dart team if he's available. JSN, Mike Evans, Jonnu Smith, Mika Egbuka, Juwan Jennings, Brock Purdy, Brian Robinson Jr. Definitely not the right ADP to take him at, where I only took him at like pick 112 or so. I think you want to try to push him to the 130 range if you do scoop him up, but I know he's a Niner now. I took him where I did, and I could live with it. Braylon Allen, Austin Eckler, Luther Burden at pick 150. Flip Luther Burden and Brian Robinson here. The team maybe makes more sense. Brandon Ayuk got him as a discount accidentally. Jerome Ford as well took him deliberately. And Johnny Smith, our tight end, won. How could that go wrong? Boy, oh boy, do I starve tight end. Goes an Ollie from Family Guy Weather Report. Here we go. Swimming hole. Best reaction time in the best. Normally, again, I'll fuck everybody up in a video game, any video game of choice. Any reactions, especially if it's the one that I'm really good at. You know, times things go wrong. Oh, and Ollie, yes. Ollie Gordon. Ollie from Family Guy, all the Ollies. Only streamer who brings working WWE knowledge to the best ball streets. That's true. I think Rob Coakley likes the WWE. I don't know if he follows it as closely anymore, though. Here and there'll be weather everywhere week 17 games are played, but the indoor weather will be better. That's probably true. I would make that stand for you. All right, Tyler, fresh off the stream with Pete. Check it out. You want to see Tyler do a good job, look handsome as always on Pete Overs. That's Best Ball Breakfast stream. Is that over now? Am I now safe competition-wise? Have I been marked safe? The Pete Overs at Hurricane? Let's see. I don't know if he's doing the full 4-hour Best Ball Breakfast today. Oh, no, he's clear. He's been clear for an hour. Thank God. I've sensed more safety in the air for myself. But, you know, you never know. Competitive game out here. Speaking of competitive game, Troy Franklin at 187. My boy, my sweet boy coming back up. I've been taking Troy Franklin whenever I can because now it's like, oh, cool. I'm now not an insane person to take him. And if he's going to 187, it's going to be harder to do. But I've got my Troy Franklin exposure up to a field matching. Actually, probably more than it because he was getting undrafted for so long. 8%. So 8% exposure for Troy Franklin for me. And more to come down the home stretch. Too kind. I'm blushing from my ass. Oh, better than the usual bleeding. But Shadow, this is just roasting our guy Tyler here. But Tyler doing a great job in the world of best balls here. His Stifle Tower streams as well with other Tyler and best ball guy doing a great job too on that. So check out Tyler. Support our guy if you can. Stage enough of you guys probably do, but you know, keep doing it. Brick beat me in Madden. Is Brick playing Madden this year? Because they overhauled the pass mechanics again. I did download Madden this year. I don't buy Madden every year, but I got it. Built a franchise. May shock you to hear my QB is Jayden Daniels. My RB is Bucky Irving. I did a fantasy draft for it to make sure I got those two guys. But I've been playing some pretty tight Madden this year. I don't think Brick was like ranked though in last year's version. Like he was like top 25 or something, I believe, or something really stupid. I'm not that good. I'm unfortunately nowhere near that good. I'm going to take a shot at Dax Jackson Dart here. Feel like he played well enough in the preseason. I don't think it's as much of a certainty that Russell Wilson gets through the whole year at this point. They might find it hard to keep him off the field. Have to get more at tight end though. And we're going to do that with Theo Johnson. Darren Waller, no longer a free click, by the way. Where did he go? Must have gone recently, right? Waller went 1-7. This guy's an idiot, though. This is the dumbass who has 4 QBs and only 3 receivers. So I don't think we could put a lot of faith in it. But this guy took Waller at 178, which I think is a fair price for Waller. He should be in the Gesicki, Mason Taylor, Jonnu Smith tier. But he shouldn't be free like he was on DraftKings this entire year. I've got a lot of Darren Waller as a result, unfortunately. Tried a strong camp per beats and coaches. Yeah, time. I'm glad to hear it. Hopefully Ben Albright's finally on board. So he got RJ Harvey wrong this year, it seems. And then had to do the RJ Harvey lost his helmet. That's the only reason he played in the preseason game. So fuck Ben Albright. his correct reporting on Troy Franklin last year. But I've said for Troy too, like the fact that he caught a 50-yard touchdown in the playoffs last year for Denver feels like pretty good momentum. Then you have the good drum beat this offseason. They like Pat Bryant enough that Troy Franklin's definitely competing there. But yeah, I'm happy to see Troy Franklin now. Not a crazy person click. Spags room's completely out of pocket. We had a 6 RB start. We did indeed. You're really one of the stupidest teams of the year. Was built in the 10 hole. Frankly, some other teams here are also struggling a little bit. Draft Stalker building one of the worst QB rooms of the year. So we got guys are having a tough time in here, but I like my team. I feel like that's my catchphrase of the year in my best ball drafts. I leave a lot of these rooms liking my team, but I'm happy with my draft cycle this year. Happy with getting more action off stream too. Just to be totally candid, like it is fun. Love gambling on stream. I don't think it materially impacts the quality of teams I built. That said, I've built in some real dumb shit rooms off stream a good amount with people taking stupid players and not teams like this guy in the 10 hole a lot more than you want to see. I'm excited for best ball. Hope you guys are too. People ask me a lot about draft burnout lately too, and I'm starting to feel it a little bit where it's like I'm ready to be done drafting, I think, but also trying to savor them at the same time. In particular, like Best Ball Mania, only 15 drafts left. Trying to really make sure those get as far to the finish line as possible. But I hope you guys are having a good draft process. I think enjoying the process is a big part of things as well. Hunter Renfrow gets picked here. The fact that he was involved with the not even close to starting teams yesterday, I think Hunter Renfrow, people think that Hunter Renfrow's existence makes the Panthers more likely to move on from Adam Thielen. I still be kind of surprised if Renfrow makes the roster. I wouldn't take him here, but whatever. It's round 19. Who gives a shit? I think it's time to enter drafters too. So we got 2 picks coming up. So let's go to drafters real fast. Enter the room here. We got 2 out of 12 spots filled. So all of you guys should be able to get in with me on drafters today. Join right now, $20 entry fee, 8 spots available. And we'll hit drafters next. So, of course, use that promo code SPLASH. You probably have enough time to do that as well over at drafters.com or in the Drafters Fantasy app. Download it on the App Store. But play on there. If you do draft 5 teams this weekend, you get a free entry. You can do that twice. You can get 2 free entries if you draft 10. Good time to hop in there because they are desperate to not get slayed by overlay. And they're probably going to get killed by overlay anyway. Devon Vele going here around 19. That's his new price tag after the Saints gave up way too much for him in a trade. Gave up a 4th rounder for a guy who I feel like was a 4th rounder himself. We might have even been lower than that. Bit of an odd move. You guys, 8 spots on drafters, so please get your little tails in there. Or your big tails. Get all size tails in drafters, please. Last 2 picks coming up here. Really want them both to be tight end, but boy, we are down to the shit of the shit. We'll take the big swing here. Harold Fannin, I think, works for this team. It's enough said. We're just taking bodies here. Cole Kmet, seemingly still a trusted red zone option for Chicago. I think all these other guys here, not guys I want to click. Higbee, I could click. Kmet, though, I think is going to be on the field not too far off Higbee, even with Loveland there. So I'm going to go Cole Kmet. And we have also the Niners bet too, so we'll get another Chicago bring back. So final team, another 4 tight end build. It's 4 tight end Friday here on Splash Play. 3-6-7-4 build. And I think the capital works. Baker Mayfield, Ashton Jeanty, James Conner, Malik Nabers, JSN. Really big value on JSN in this room is the most exciting part to me. Mike Evans, Agbuka, part of that Tampa Bay stack. We didn't take tight end until really late, so Jonnu Smith is the first tight end here. But Juwan Jennings, part of a Niner stack with Brock Purdy, new Niner Brian Robinson, Braylon Allen as well at RB, Austin Eckler at RB, making up that room here, and the fact that Robinson took him as a falling knife for sure. Luther Burden, big discount on him as part of the Niners Chicago build that we have going. Brandon Ayuk, Jerome Ford, Jackson Dart, guy I never take, but he crushed this preseason in a way that I think you got to play him at some point this year, and I haven't been sold that was going to be the case. I love Jackson Dart pre-draft, so I still wouldn't take him in a 2 QB build. Still a hard time for you to take him on an underdog, I think. I think they got to play him at some point this year. Even if it's just week 15, week 16, week 17, I think they got to play him at some point. Theo Johnson, part of that Giant stack with Nabers as well. Harold Fannin, another tight end. Just give us some depth here. Cole Kmet, another tight end. We still might have gone too thin at tight end with those 4 guys, but when you added 4 of them, we did what we had to do, adding volume there. That's how that looks. But now it's time, guys, to wait on drafters for you guys to fill this room here. The last stage of our $4.5 million Friday quest here in the Try Draft-A-Lon. It ends on Drafters, a 20-round draft, full point PPR, a site I have finished top 100 on before, finished top 10 on last year in playoff best ball, while only doing 3 entries on stream. It's kind of upside you get on Drafters. They've been a presenting sponsor of this channel as well. This entire best ball summer, allowing me to draft other platforms in addition to their own to show you guys what best ball gambling is, at least for me, across everything. And Drafters, I'll take their money spends just as good, guys. Maybe not the ego stroke of winning Best Ball Mania. Maybe not the fun transfer of funds to DK Sportsbook and DK DFS if you win the Millie Maker on there. But Drafters, 500K, less of a pool to compete against. Overlay means you'll probably shoot up 100, even 1,000 spots, depending upon how many bodies they get in. That's the case on Drafters, guys. Overlay is one of the most important things. I'm trying to get you guys to play on here, but like it's for your own good. So play on Drafters. I'm in the 8th spot here. I'll click the I'm ready, let's draft. David Aaronsdorf in a lot of my rooms lately. I don't know if he's somebody I know. This guy's got a 1-week season avatar. Sure. I have the KY not in this one. You done? Are you maxing out, KY? What are we doing here? Renfro's such a not a guy. I agree. People know the name and they heard that he was playing a little bit well in preseason. I don't recognize the fact that really doesn't behoove a team unless Renfro is like so much better and recovered from, he had some illness stuff too. So like, you know, I get it, but it's hard to get back into relevance. Like if you were once relevant and you're out of the league, unless you're like a brand new man, it's like, you know, like people have said about relationships where like, if you're in a relationship and then it ends and like, you're the one that gets dumped, like you're not going to win that person back most likely unless you improve yourself and you come back and the equation has changed a little bit. And you're now richer and you're better looking and you're whatever, then maybe it's like a whole new thing for you. And you can win this person back that you so desperately want. For Hunter Renfroe, it's like he would have to come in and be Victor Cruz. When he was breaking out, he'd have to be Odell. Not only Giants guys, but he has to be somebody that like comes out of nowhere and is so good that you can't avoid him. I think Hunter Renfroe's that. Being polite, it actually filled decently quick for you. Like, it's been a haul to get Drafters filled this year. I think we can all agree. We're still doing the process here. My entries on Drafters still is valid here. It's draft number 38 for me on Drafters. Gonna get close to 50. I would like to get to 50 because then I get a free entry too. But we'll see. 38 drafts, though. All done on stream. There's a lot of Drafters content for me this season. Including earlier in the year, me smoking joints and doing it. But that just didn't get enough views for me to... Pete's getting on real shit. Pete's going to LA to do YouTube streams. I can't just smoke weed on stream. I gotta be more credible. Christian McCaffrey here. Not one of my favorite clicks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we saw I was low on before as well. I mean, McCaffrey with adding Brian Robinson, I'm not taking him at 8. Suck my dick, Christian McCaffrey. I'm not taking, somebody else could take Christian McCaffrey here. I'm not worried about Brian Robinson for McCaffrey. He just shouldn't go at the exact same spot when they trade for a running back who is a young guy, who's got fresh legs, who's overcome a shooting, much like Ricky Pearsall. McCaffrey should pay a slight ADP price tag discount for that, shouldn't he? The very least, a little bit ahead of Derrick Henry instead of many picks ahead. Is that why you're single? Yes, you gotta, again, you just gotta be what's the thing they always say is like, are you good looking on that's probably a better way of saying it. But, you know, like on Tinder, people are like, oh, you know, you must be handsome because you're getting people replying to your messages that are so stupid kind of thing. It always helps to be beautiful. So be beautiful first and foremost. That's the goal. And then second goal, have a lot of money. Third goal, pretend one or both of those things. That'd be Chris Spags dating tips. Also, be good on texting, though. For people who struggle with app stuff, just get better at texting. Be responsive. Move to drinks as fast as possible. It's always surprised me how many people struggle with that, but I am an expert. I did have a Barstool column in it for fucking way too long, that way too many people read. Yo, David keeps accidentally getting rid of me. There you go. All right. No, you're all good. You're the more the merrier on Drafters. I just wasn't sure if you were a regular or if you're just whatever. But glad to hear from David here, picking the 2-hole. Hope he has a nice draft for himself. Derrick Henry comes back. Happy to take him. Amon-Ra, Derrick Henry feels like one of those builds to me. We're not having a ton of fun making those clicks. We're not having a blast. It's not Jahmyr Gibbs and Bucky Irving. We're getting all the young guys with all the juice. It's just two guys that are like solid and have been for enough of the period of time. For Derrick Henry now, a long period of time. But Henry is one of the best backs in football last year, and I think people with the age stuff miss it. And not to make the case for Derrick Henry, but he's on the thumbnail, so we'll do it one more time. Derrick Henry last year, positive EPA per rush, positive EPA per pass. 0.11 EPA per rush, which is crazy given the fact that he had 19 rushes a game. That's a ton of efficiency for a guy who's getting that much volume. Still 0.26 EPA per target as well. Derrick Henry gets subbed out for Justice Hill in a lot of the high volume or high leverage passing downs. But for Derrick Henry, he is still good in the pass game. And then red zone work, 3.3 red zone rushes a game, 0.3 red zone targets a game. Love it to be closer to 5. That's that hallowed ground where you have true RB1 upside. But that said, Derrick Henry was just good last year. And he also, on top of all this stuff, had a 20% avoided tackle rate that was in line with guys like Trey Benson, Jalen Wright, young guys with a lot of juice, ahead of guys like Jerome Ford, Cam Akers. Keaton Mitchell had a lower avoided tackle rate last year than Derrick Henry, had a lot less volume. So if you wonder, if you see the thumbnail and you're like, I feel like Spags not adequately addressed why he's so shocked at Derrick Henry. I'm shocked at Derrick Henry being this guy. I mean, I know it, but he's so fucking good. Saquon was also very good, but I think in terms of the numbers that I really, hold in esteem, the avoided tackle rate stuff in particular, I think you make the case Derrick Henry is better than Saquon in some respects. Didn't break as many 50-yard touchdowns. I get that. But I think in terms of like just pure play or pure per play upside, I think Derrick Henry was as good as anybody in football last year. Love drafters being the only ones still deposit bonuses monthly. That said, bearish, sure. I would be bearish on this drafters tournament filling or getting close to it. Yeah, I've said before, my guess for drafters is that you're probably getting like 200K in overlay out of them, not including their lack of rake. We'll see. Shout out to all you guys watching live here. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to deposit on drafters. I also should move myself down here so you guys can see the board better. But drafters, promo code SPLASH. You guys know the deal. $100 deposit match on there. So come draft along with me down the home stretch or with yourself. Those 5 entries this weekend, so you get the free ones. That's what I would recommend. See what Braden does here. I knew he was going to take Hampton. Would have loved to have gotten a Henry-Hampton combo. We won't get that. Guess another JSN pick here. Room's not loving JSN right now. I'm frankly not as into JSN as some people seem to be. People think JSN's upside's really big. Because of the fact he's playing out wide, I think it's a detriment to him. Same for Ladd McConkey. It's not natural outside receivers. It can work. Seen little guys hit out wide, your Tyreek Hill types. But I think it's better for Cooper Kupp, to be honest, that he's in the slot. So that's not really the reason I don't take JSN. I just like other guys in this range a lot. But it is part of the equation for me for how I view JSN. And I don't mind Darnold, and I like what Clint Kubiak seems to be bringing there to the offense. A lot of positive reports about the Seahawks run game. You've seen in the preseason as well. You guys like George Holani looking great. Charbonnet for the little bit of work he's been out there. You're looking good. A lot of hype from local beat reporters for Kenneth Walker, what his opportunity is, even though it seems like it will be a bit of a timeshare because Charbonnet's played too well. But it's still a team I expect to run pretty well and run good relatively in terms of the offense. That said, for JSN, not as excited about his prospects as other guys there. The price tag's pretty lofty. For a full point PPR, I think a little bit more appealing to me. That's my JSN take, a guy that I just don't talk about very often. Would have been nice to get Kenneth Walker back for more Seattle bet, since we are making a JSN bet, really hammer it home with Walker. Unfortunately, he goes to pick 38 here to this guy, Andrew Tabs. Andrew Tablieri, probably some name like that. If I had to guess. And he's rich in Kenneth Walker. Let's see what we got this next pick. Come on. All right, takes Worthy here. I do like Travion Henderson in particular on PPR sites. The top 40 price tag for him is a little bit brutal. We have Hurts here. We have Jayden here. I'm going to get a little more Jayden for myself on drafters. Of course, we'll be checking all my exposures for you guys if you're curious about where I am with 2 weeks left at the end of this video. But right now on drafters, I am only at 10.8% Jayden Daniels, so I'll get a little bit more here for myself. But Jayden overall, a 13% play for me. I think closer to 15 in Best Ball Mania. Would like to get to 2x Jayden everywhere. 2x the fields, 8% expected exposure would be my goal for him. Just because I still believe in the bet this year. I think, if anything, it's only gotten better with what I saw last year that confirmed a lot of stuff. As opposed to a guy like Anthony Richardson 2 years ago, where the rookie fantasy results were great. The underlying numbers were fucking disaster. Jayden Daniels' underlying numbers were fantastic, and the rookie year for fantasy was great. And he got to see into the NFC title game. So my Jayden bet, despite the rising ADP, if you guys haven't watched all summer and spring, Jayden Daniels still one of my priority guys and one of my special little boys. Him and Bucky Irving both. Thoughts on Underdog's first quarter tournament? I'd imagine they're guns. I didn't do. Oh, they're gonna do second, third, fourth. I don't know if they're gonna get all those in, but it's possible. I don't really like the format that much. Obviously, you're taking more projectable plays. If you wanted to make a rule to fade almost every rookie, I don't think that'd be an insane thing to do, because a lot of them, even if they are starters, going to take a little bit of time to get adjusted to the offenses to get where they need to go. And as I mentioned enough times here, like, there's really only a couple running backs I expect to be on paper, like, ready to step on the field and be great year one. You know, Jeanty, Hampton, I think there's no sort of anything inhibiting them. Hampton, the preseason, though, hasn't looked fantastic. He's looked like a guy. But if you're going to take a rookie, I think those are the ones I would take a shot on. But like your Tootin tier, the guys that I really have thudded and not taken a lot of for myself, Jarquez Hunter, get none of those guys if you want to do it. I think it's anything that's nothing hot takey, but just as a thing people might not think of enough. But yeah, those tournaments for me don't do a lot. That's like the traditional format, like having the 4 months of time of it either really making me sad or filling me with joy, then making me sad, then filling me with joy, then making me feel sad. Sort of the push-pull that we get with best ball. Anything that changes that process, I'm usually not personally doing a lot of. McLaurin goes at 50 to our guy David, so we won't get him with Jayden. Not that he falls 56 enough, but there was a period where the holdout seemingly had no finish line. It still doesn't really, where McLaurin would fall a little bit more. McLaurin does not fall in this room. So no stacky there. DeAndre Swift, one of my highest exposed guys overall. His price tag on drafters has gotten fucking insane, if we're being honest. And I like Swift, but 54 is a lot. Pearsall, I don't love it. I like Zay Flowers out of this group the most, to be honest. And I'm going to go get him. Zay Flowers, full point PPR. Pearsall at pick 55 is a lot. I mean, Igbukah went at 54, so like I get the price tag and why the markets would put it there. I personally would just greatly favor Zay Flowers. And if you want to give some game theory logic to it, it's something I talked about with taking like a Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely type with Josh Allen. You know, same thing before taking a Zay Flowers with Jayden. I think a lot of times you won't find those players correlated as much with the other elite QB. So if you want to make up a reason to really like that pick, that would be the reason I would make up, even though it doesn't fucking matter. But Jayden Daniels, Derrick Henry start here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Zay Flowers. I mean, these are really good PPR boys. I feel strongly about that with the receiving room. Like 3 guys who are, I would say, unequivocally better in full point PPR. Derrick Henry, as an RB, I would say probably better in half point. But not a bad click in full point. I took Joe Burrow unstacked. Oh, stacked it with Chase Brown, I suppose. Okay. That's a choice. We got a pick coming up here. Thinking RB, but could go receiver. Come on. Whole clock for a Persod here. What do I do? What do I take? Just take Olave? Okay. Guess you needed to really think about that. Decent value on DeAndre Swift right now. He's normally going at pick 55. We're now at pick 65. Pick 54. We're now at pick 65. But I do want to get Jayden correlation. Debo. I've got a lot of Debo, but I'm taking more Debo. So Jayden Daniels stacked up with Debo Samuel. Derrick Henry going to have to carry a lot of water for the team, and I would hope he would. If he's healthy, I think he will. If he's not healthy, the team's going to have some problems. But if Jayden Daniels start with Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Zay Flowers, Debo Samuel here. DeAndre Swift still hanging around. He finally goes to pick 67. That's about where he should be priced. I don't know why he's had this massive rise for drafters in particular. Especially too because drafters hated DeAndre Swift early on. I'll show you guys real fast, and this is something you do with the Best Ball Overlay tool, or the Best Ball Explorer tool, excuse me. You probably do something similar with the Best Ball Overlay tool. But drafters here, see my Chris Godwin massive loss in CLV. DeAndre Swift, though, you can see here, I've been getting him overall. My average pick is 81.5. His current ADP is 53.6. Let me scroll myself down so you guys could see it. You can see how he's risen a ton here on drafters. He's crazily valued on drafters. I still don't think it's like an insane ADP for him, even though I'm really reluctant to click him, I think, ahead of some of those guys in that range, frankly, even including Chuba Hubbard. For Chicago, this offense and how it's looked in the preseason so far, like guys like Ian Wheeler having outlier performances, relative to a second, third team offense, whatever. But like there's been good run production so far. I think that Swift gets the first crack at this job, even if a Monin guy, a Roshan ends up getting another crack if he sucks. I still like the Swift bet a good amount. I just think it should be priced more in this Harvey Pollard range than the Kamara range. I think Debo gets more carries with Robinson getting traded. I mean, he would have to. That's part of the logic, I think, that they've given to at least the beat reporters talking about it, is that Debo's a guy that's going to take some touches away as well. I would assume that anyway, and I think he's going to be very live in the screen game as well. But yeah, like I think he's a smash play. I've said enough times, Debo Samuel, if he doesn't score 10 touchdowns this year, I'd be really shocked. Especially playing for his next big contract. And he's in great shape, too, if you are a fat Debo worrywart. All right, we get Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason back. Travis Kelce also here. Not really a play I want to prioritize. Another purple jersey running back. Let's do that. Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, old RB room, but guys who know how to get it done. Guys who know how to pleasure a woman. That's what we're looking for at our RB room. So Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, 4 receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Zay Flowers, Debo. I like the room. It's content going to be the season starts. Please tell me at least 3 days a week. Same thing as last year. I don't plan to change it too much. Might not do the best ball review shows because I don't think they're going to be sponsored this year. And I don't know. I like doing them for you guys, but I don't think they get enough views to justify me doing more. I don't know. We'll see. But at the very least, showdown videos Monday and Thursday. Sunday and Friday, we'll have the preview videos for the main slates. And we'll also be on Stochastics Live Before Lock on Sundays. So that's my current schedule for things. Still don't know about fantasy points if I'm doing that this year. I'd be happy to do it, but I don't know. They're paying me a good amount for a column that was paywalled last year. So I don't know how that's going to work out. And then Fridays as well, we'll be doing the data deep dive video for premium members again. So you'll get to look at my data. I'll talk you through it. We'll look at numbers. I'll ramble. We'll do that whole thing. And probably no Battle Royale content for me this year because I've never liked Battle Royales that much. I think they're fun, but I don't think they're plus EV for me to do if I'm not maxing stuff out and I don't want to. So probably less Battle Royale stuff this year. Unless there's a clamoring for it, but I don't know. That's the rough plan now. Still a shot too. Somebody wants to sponsor something betting related, and I might do a betting video, but I'll only do that if I get a sponsor because I just don't care enough to do it just for myself. Maybe I should. Who knows? I'll think about it. All right, we got a pick coming up here. There's one pick I'd be very happy to make right now. It goes, unfortunately. Would have loved to have gotten Mason and Aaron Jones. I've kind of grown more interested in that build and the upside it brings. But we don't pull that off here. Charbonnet is not going to come back to me at 104, given his rising ADP. Justin Fields makes the team pop a little bit more, I think. I'm going to go up and get Sharbs. See, I got that click in time. I think it was DraftKings' fault that I missed those clicks last round. But we got a RB here. Charbonnet at 10, well, not even the 100s. Charbonnet at 89 feels a little bit lofty. That said, I don't think he was coming back to 104. We have the Seattle bet here with JSN. I couldn't get Walker, so I think adding Charbonnet on, who, in my opinion, he has been a pretty clear preseason riser because of the fact that, number one, Walker hasn't been able to practice enough frequency. Number two is that Charbonnet apparently has now earned himself a role this year alongside Walker. How much that is, I don't know, but I don't think that was going to be the case before. So I'm going to go Charbonnet here. Hawkinson, I thought about as a click. I really don't feel like I ever need tight end this early. Like if I'm going to get Bowers or McBride, sure, happy to do that. Laporta, I've taken a good amount this offseason as well. But at this stage, like I don't mind Hawkinson. I'd rather just take 4 tight ends. That's me, though. I expect everybody to feel that way. But really, to me, one of the biggest things in my draft process here, no matter what side I'm playing on, but in particular, the 20-round sites, is just taking less tight end early and just taking more volume later on, because you have legitimately 10 starters available from round 16 on at tight end. I just think the teams look better when you do that. And that's from trying some different structure too. And, I definitely took a lot more McBride and Bowers early on. I'd still be happy to get those guys. But for me, it's like, if you're not getting those two or Kittle, and you're not getting Laporta at his range, I think it's getting pretty flat from that point on. Could be wrong about it. There's probably some outliers along the way in that group, post what I'm talking about. You got to make your stand somewhere. The team again, Jayden Daniels, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Zach Charbonnet, pretty early, but again, like the steam he's gotten in RB was pretty bled out. Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Zay Flowers, Deebo Samuel. I would have happily taken J.K. Dobbins. We are forced to do the devil's bidding right now, I think. So I'm going to call it. I'm taking Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Bill Krosky-Merritt, a guy we love so much. Pick 104. Oh, I hate it. Even I feel bile coming out of my throat. Like I'd rather take, and especially on drafters, cheaper Eckler. Take cheaper Chris Rodriguez too. Get 2 shots at that backfield. Krosky-Merritt here at this stage at RB with Dobbins gone. Sure, I could take another Joe Mixon. Jaden Blue, I'm never taking in this range. Not going to go grab Bigsby early. Braylon Allen, still a little bit early for him, even though I could live with it. I hate that JCM click. Hate it so much. Shout out Jack here. Just able to join. Going to watch back. Any weird good teams in here? In this particular room, the stream, I feel like the 2 teams I've built so far, I'm happy with. In this room, I haven't noticed anything too crazy, especially compared to that last DraftKings draft where we had one guy literally sabotaging himself by not taking anywhere near a team that even remotely makes sense. There's a lot of caveats to throw in there, but it just was one of the worst teams built on stream this year. That one guy built in the 10 hole on DraftKings just before this one. A lot of balanced teams. 0 RB teams kind of capped themselves early enough. Took some credible RBs, guys like RX Beer here in the 12 spot. So I'm not seeing anything too wacky now. I've had DK draft rooms glitch on me this year. I've been starring guys in case it happens. I felt like there were a couple clicks here on stream that I missed that I don't think I normally miss, but that's about all I could complain about rather. Really, honestly, nothing for me besides that. Sometimes the clock starts late, but it's not been as bad as Underdog has been this year. All right, we got Chris Godwin coming back if we want to take a total points loser here. For sure in ADP, but still a guy who's credible enough. Caleb Williams also here. A lot of good RBs available as well. I'm going to go Caleb. Just want to get the second QB in because, well, he was a faller. Just not sure I'm going to get Goff back is the main thing for me. I don't want to reach early for Goff, so I'd rather just cobble together some backdoor Chicago stuff. I don't know if that Caleb click was a good one, though. But right now, Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, the team. At RB, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Zach Charbonnet, Krosky Merritt. At receiver, we only have 4, but they're 4 good ones. Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Zay Flowers, and Deebo Samuel. And really in particular for Zay Flowers and Deebo, I think those guys are just too cheap. Like, if Igbukah is going to be a top 50 pick, I just don't think Zay Flowers is wide receiver 1 for Baltimore and probably more due for positive touchdown aggression than anybody in football. I don't think you should go at pick 56. Deebo, pick 65, and I think he's got endless touchdown equity for Washington this year. I don't think he should go as late as he does. That's how I view this team. And obviously, we got our vets here with Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. Some younger guys with Charbonnet, who's not as young as Krosky Merritt. Actually, Charbonnet and Krosky Merritt are probably the actual same age. Let's see, Zach Charbonnet. All right, so Zach Charbonnet, 24 years old. Krosky Merritt, 24 years old, but about 2 months younger, 3 months younger. So Charbonnet's been in the league for 4 years, 3 years? 3 years, I think. Krosky Merritt's old in summation. I think Hawk is super underpriced with wide receiver 3 issues / Addison suspension / safety blankie for rookie QB. He should be in the 60s. He should be ahead of Laporta when he's old and pretty injured. Okay, Hawk last year, that offense was good, I think we would say. Hawk, 0.17 EPA per target, 21.6% target per out run, 0.9 red zone targets a game. None of those are bad. He was awful downfield, a negative 1.6 EPA on throws of 20-plus air yards. But I'm not going to critique a tight end that much for that. I think his better days are behind him, personally. And I think, too, the rumors of Thielen going there, like, Thielen, for whatever flaws he's had, obviously, I think mostly in terms of perception for people going to Carolina, he's been fantastic in Carolina. I mean, a 0.47 EPA per target, 21.3% target per out run, 1.2 deep targets a game, and he had a 0.5 EPA on those, so he was much better downfield than Hawkinson was. Had 0.8 red zone targets a game, too, at least in that Carolina offense. I don't think that's great for Hawkinson if you see Thielen go there. And I don't think it's a guarantee. As I said before, like, I think Carolina values Thielen as a safety blankie of their own for Bryce Young. But I don't think that'd be good for Hawkinson. All right, Caleb went already to us. So we did lose Goff along the way. I wasn't surprised by that. I just didn't want to reach early for Goff. Want the wide receiver 5 at this point. Josh Palmer's ADP is so much higher than I was taking him for most of this draft process to 130 ADP, but he's one of your starters for Buffalo outside, it seems like. Going to be moving around, I'm sure, in terms of playing some slot, but probably mostly be playing outside this year. But Josh Palmer's wide receiver 5. We've lost 2 of my stalwarts at this stage, where Mims no longer available as wide receiver 5. Christian Kirk no longer available in this range as wide receiver 5. So Josh Palmer is now, I think, a proxy for that kind of player. So my team right now, Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Caleb unstacked, but I just wanted to try to get him because I thought there was going to be a bad QB run. And there was. Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Zach Charbonnet, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, a.k.a. Bill. At receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Couldn't get him with Goff. JSN, don't really want to trust him with Sam Darnold. Obviously couldn't get Lamar with Zay Flowers. But we do have Deebo Samuel stacked up with Jayden Daniels. Then Josh Palmer rounding out the receiver room. Another guy who's a riser. What is my... For Josh Palmer on drafters, I've got him 13.5% of my drafters lineups, and that's at pick 162. So good closing line value on Josh Palmer, but he is now fully priced for what I thought he would be. You do think Hawkins is a better click than Laporta? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Laporta's in a better offense. I agree that JMO making a leap probably hurts Laporta's floor a little bit. I mean, maybe even more than a little bit. But yeah, I don't feel that way. So it's a real big talk bias that I don't think I would agree with. Jordan Love here, another guy with some late options. I'm going to go Kyle Pitts. I think he's a guy I haven't got enough of this year, especially given how much I like Atlanta. Pitts, I only have 5% on drafters as well, it looks like. So on DraftKings, I presume I have more Pitts on DraftKings. Got 8% Pitts on DraftKings. 10.5% Pitts on Underdog. But I like Pitts. Liked him more when he was going for free. I don't know. There was like a brief panic period with Kyle Pitts where people thought he sucked this summer and he was going like 160, 170. That was probably the period to really buy hard on Kyle Pitts. But in the 130 range, I still like him more than Ferguson. Goddard and him is pretty close. Kincaid, Pitts, pretty close. Loveland, Pitts. I might flip that. Okay, so sometimes won't stay on the board on DraftKings, so only a few seconds remain. Yeah, I haven't seen that issue, but I believe you. There's been times this year, there was one period on Underdog where like their alerts didn't work at all. And like I would have to reload the app and at a certain point I had to switch to my laptop and then refresh the page over and over again to get it to tell me when I had a pick coming up. If you know there's weird things in the platforms, you unfortunately just have to adjust yourself and figure out, how to make it work for you. But being aware of those things is definitely, it's unfortunately like with these sites, like they should all be perfect. But for some of the sites, it is unfortunately part of the equation here of expected value. Like if it fucks up for you, but you know how it fucks up, there's other people that are probably having the same issue as you, and then they might not know how to fix it. So just always keep drafting teams. Even the sites don't work. Just keep drafting teams because it means it's probably fucking up other people even worse. Got pick 152 coming up for me here. QB backlogged. There is going to be a frenetic QB run at some point. We're not there for it yet. I'm taking another QB. I'm taking Jordan Love, 20 spots after ADP. Don't know why he's still available. We don't really need the third QB at this point, but this is too much of a backlog at QB. Same principle as well for, we were talking about earlier with ADP and having teams that soak up as much ADP as possible generally. If you have QBs that are now going incredibly late, obviously Jayden I'm expecting to cover, most of this year. But if Jayden misses time, I now have two QBs that are completely undervalued. I also do have some light Week 17 correlation for Jordan Love, where Green Bay and Baltimore do play. Week 17 correlation doesn't matter very much in a total points format, even though I think it's a tiebreaker. It's still not a bad thing to have some of a read on. But that said, Jordan Love at pick 150, like go next to Tua. I just think that's points we could use in total points. So that's how I view it. Underdog switching the UI mid-draft season was tough. I agree. I think that was an odd one. And changing the domains too, like changing subdomains that people use to like view certain windows. It's also kind of insane, but companies are still run by people and people are still inherently idiots. So you gotta keep that in perspective, I guess. Apparently, Adam Thielen's wife is posting big news on her Instagram. She's from Minnesota, but it could just be her attention whoring. Who knows? All right, pick coming up here. We need more at RB for sure. Zach Ertz, also somebody I would definitely like to get with Jayden if I can. Tyjae Spears, though, is a very good click here as RB5. Talk about a guy who maybe misses week 1, week 2, still doesn't mean that's guaranteed. But I think the team needs, does it need Zach Ertz more? RB is going to get really ugly these next few rounds. I am going to go Tyjae Spears. I am going to hope that Zach Ertz comes back around. I don't expect it, though. For him to come back around, we're talking about him being 17 spots after ADP. I don't think that's going to happen. But we needed another RB, I think, more, because if you look down the board here, we're getting into that Keaton Mitchell, Ollie Gordon, Roshan Johnson, Sean Tucker range at RB. There are absolutely guys that we could take and not feel awful about, but I don't think they would be great as RB5. They're more RB6, RB7 kind of plays in a 20-round format. So I'm going to go and get Spears here, and look at David Arendorf. And I know he can hear the stream. He's taking guys I would love to get here like Zach Ertz, but I get it. Zach Ertz after ADP, no guarantee he was going to come back. In fact, I assumed he wouldn't. I think we'll still get some decent tight ends. If not these guys on the screen, I think we've got enough to take still. So that was my logic for passing up Ertz there, passing up the stack partner. And Spears at 161. Again, we don't like injuries in August. There's a guy that was going 115, no matter where you're going industry-wide, might even going higher in some spots. Because he got a high ankle sprain, it's going to knock him out week 1, maybe week 2. We're now down to pick 160. I think you buy those guys every time, and I do buy those guys whenever I can. So Tyjae Spears, my highest exposed guys, we're going to see in a moment across every platform. I'm going to keep buying them down the home stretch. So I'm a sucker. If you want another excuse to pick Marshawn Lloyd, I don't need an excuse. Total points for at Marshawn Lloyd, though, getting pretty unappealing. Even though I think for pod formats, just like the shot at a week 17 from a guy in round 18, like even on DraftKings round 20 for Marshawn Lloyd, like I think he can give you a usable score potentially in week 17 still. For total points for him out on drafters, though, like you're going to like, I mean, I hope he'll be back week 1 with the hamstring and then get ramped up and actually play. But who knows how much time he'll miss. So funny. I thought there was going to be like a tight end run, and instead Zach Ertz went and nobody else did. So that's pretty cool stuff for me. Hunter Henry, 20 pick ADP discount. Done. No correlation with Hunter Henry, but we do need a tight end. So that's that. I don't think Emmanuel Wilson going undrafted is sneaky because you still have Chris Brooks there. And they want to play Marshawn. Like, ultimately, that's the part to me that matters the most is that, like, yeah, Wilson certainly outplayed an undrafted guy last year. He had a few spike weeks, had some usable stuff. That said, he played about as well as one can last year, and they were happy to go back to Marshawn Lloyd and try to trot him out as RB2 again this year. Then Lloyd gets hurt again. They move Wilson up the depth chart. It's like it doesn't feel like it's there. Let's think Marshawn Lloyd never gets healthy, which I would get making that bet at this point, but I don't know. It's sneaky. I don't think it's like, I frankly like comparing the kind of real dart throw guys or guys that just barely get drafted. I would go Ty Johnson over Emmanuel Wilson. Because if that team wants to use Ty Johnson a certain way, there's a risk with James Cook getting paid what he gets paid that they change the way that usage pattern goes. But, you know, there's also a lot of opportunity in that situation. For Emmanuel Wilson, he's just like a journeyman guy who outplayed his cast last year, and now he's still in the same situation this year. I'm really thinking about it. Takes Horton. I'll go with my old pal Diami Brown here. I think we just need a little more at receiver at this point. Josh Palmer, wide receiver 5, feels kind of thin to me, but though the normal guys I would get in that range that I've taken as wide receiver 5 over and over and over again, they don't exist in that range anymore. So I guess a positive for my CLV that Mims and Kirk aren't there anymore. Even Keenan Allen not there anymore. But because the wide receiver 5 is weaker with Josh Palmer, do want to make sure I get a wide receiver 6 who's got something of a role, and Diami Brown does have something of a role. So Diami Brown the pick. Let's give this team a read. Not great correlation besides for Jayden Daniels. And even then, that's not great. We got Jayden, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love. I like the players at QB, the stacking and lack thereof of it. Not my best effort. At RB, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Zach Charbonnet, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and Tyjae Spears at pick 160. I think you should flip Spears and Krosky-Merritt, and then it would feel a little bit better. But obviously, people like Krosky-Merritt. People are down on Spears because, God forbid, you sprain an ankle in August. A receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Zay Flowers, Deebo Samuel, Josh Palmer, Diami Brown. I can live with that being a top 6 receiver, but like I mentioned, Josh Palmer's kind of thin for me as wide receiver 5. I think he's more of a wide receiver 6, but ADPs have shifted around enough that he has to be a wide receiver 5. Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry. I think the teams I built in this draft, or this stream rather, besides this one, I think they're better. But, you know, team still plays. I didn't burn money here doing this. That's how I feel about it. But guys, if you get any value out of this video, please do show some love. Hit that like button, subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Just one person showing you my gambling on stream across every platform. And doing the best I can to give you guys good intel, whether it is on Drafters, whether it is on DraftKings, whether it is on Underdog. I'm the only one doing that in one stream across the industry right now, and that's special, right? So please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please hit the follow button if you're watching on Twitter. Do that. Made it up a little bit at wide receiver. So we're going to take the following Isaiah Likely here, pick 200. We just saw him, granted on DraftKings, to an idiot. We did just see him go 135 in another room, getting him here at pick 200 because he's another guy that got hurt and is already well into his recovery and should be ready pretty soon. I think taking Likely at pick 200 after Jatavian Sanders, you got to feel pretty bad if you were taking Isaiah Likely at pick 130 for a while, but he's too cheap now. Johnny Smith, also too cheap now. Who we got? Who do we have late? We have Wicks late. Actually, we have some guys we could take late. A little bit afraid to say them out loud. But I think there are some fun guys we can click here for the last 3 rounds that don't always get drafted. And that's stack up. I also probably want a 6th RB, huh? This is tough. What's left at RB? Roshan. This is a brutal RB situation. I mean, Dameon Pierce in the hunt for work. If you think Mixon's not going to play early, I think taking Dameon Pierce seems like a good move. In fact, if I had to put money on it, I would say Pierce probably outstrips Nick Chubb, if not week 1 early in the season. Because Pierce still has a lot left in his legs. Nick Chubb's got nothing. But neither is a click I really want to make because I think Joe Mixon plays early enough. Hope he plays early enough. Troy Franklin already went. All right, so let's dig a little bit deeper here. We got Jayden, Caleb. All right, so I'm going to go a guy that has not gotten picked a lot here. But we did see have a meaningful role in the preseason for Chicago. I think Olamide Zaccheaus is going to be the most obvious guy to lose work to Luther Burden as early as Burden can be ready and good to go and be a functional part of an offense. That said, I don't know when that happens for Burden. I don't know if it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be week 1, but I think in a total points format, a guy like Zaccheaus can give us some points early on. You know, frankly, we don't need terribly because we have good guys up top with Amon-Ra, JSN, Flowers, and Deebo. But I think in particular, if you had a team like with Ayuk in the total points format where you know he's going to give you a 0 for 5 weeks, if not 10, a team where you have Jordan Addison missing 3 weeks, a team where you have Rashee Rice missing whatever he misses midseason even, I think taking Zaccheaus makes some amount of sense because the bet is that he probably loses out to Luther Burden long term. And I would say it's almost like a 99% certainty that's how it goes long term. But for right now, Zaccheaus is a guy that has been targeted well, might have a meaningful slot role for Chicago. And if nothing else, in the hunt for a spike week when we have no correlation with Caleb Williams. So we'll give it that shot now. 2 picks left here. The exciting round 19, round 20 that get uglier across every site. Decent tight ends hanging around, though. Which is, again, the fucking issue, man. So that's why I end up with so many tight ends. With Theo Johnson hanging around, we've seen him catch a 30-yard pass in the preseason. The role is not looking bad for him. Juwan Johnson, a guy who's getting paid crazy money by New Orleans, an offense that's scheming up some low A-dot targets for their receivers right now that should benefit Juwan Johnson a little bit as well. Harold Fannin, kind of exciting click later in a draft these days because of the fact he's working with the first team. I think that Njoku is a bit of a blocker for him getting where he needs to go in terms of huge upside. But, you know, very draftable here. So that's tight end. That's why I take late tight ends. Here you take Olamide Zaccheaus, gave me the courage. There you go. Happy to help. I don't know if it's a good thing, but, you know, it's a thing. Took Van Jefferson and FFPC best ball. Well, because that you could cut guys, so I get it. I would certainly favor a Umanor. But when Ridley missed some practice, it was Van Jefferson filling in, taking those routes. So I don't think you're wrong. Because Zaccheaus in a 20-round format, I would take him 18th round on Underdog. I'd still consider him if I have Caleb Williams, but not crazy about it. Wicks still available here. We want some Green Bay correlation. We got it. Dontavian Wicks, wide receiver 8 for me. Still a guy who commanded targets well last year at that 30% target per out run rate. That's so important as a benchmark. But obviously he's not been practicing a lot. I don't think he's out there yet. I think he's been practicing on the side of the field, I feel like, or doing stuff on the side. Not participating as of the 19th. But he'll get out there at some point. I still think you can't put the genie back in the bottle of a guy who commanded a ton of targets the year before last. Like, I think if he gets opportunities, he'll get targets, and hopefully he won't be dog shit with them. Barner holding off Arroyo? I would think so. I mean, Arroyo had a nice catch in whatever practice the other day, had some one-hander. But Arroyo can't block, and Barner is going to be out there because they need the blocking ability a good amount. So I don't think Barner's like a fun click, but I think in 20-round formats, when tight end is dead, you could take him if you have Seattle stuff. I would definitely favor Juwan Johnson. I would favor Waller. But if Barner outscored those guys, I guess I wouldn't be cripplingly shocked. All right, last pick of the draft here. Pitts, Henry, likely. I think you could take a 4th tight end. I think a 3rd RB, though, I think feels right. We got this big Green Bay bet, and, you know, Chunk said it earlier. So Marshawn Lloyd, you and your fucking never going to play hamstrings. Let's just keep losing money on it. Marshawn Lloyd, last pick in the draft here at round 20. A final team. We got Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love is our QB room. We got them all stacked by the end of the draft, even though the stacks are certainly not the most solid stacks in the world. Derrick Henry correlates for week 17 with Jordan Love. Not that we care about that, but it's something to point out. Aaron Jones, Zach Charbonnet, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Tyjae Spears, Marshawn Lloyd. How could you go wrong with a Krosky-Merritt Lloyd backfield? I don't know. But Tyjae Spears, a pick 160 is too cheap. I'll die on that hill. And if he costs me all the money this year, fuck it. I still believe in the talent of Tyjae Spears, even though he sprained his ankle. A receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Zay Flowers, Deebo Samuel, Josh Palmer, getting a little bit thinner at wide receiver 5 these days, but at the spot, pick 128. That's got to be your capper for a wide receiver 5. Diami Brown, hopefully can also be a functional wide receiver 5.5, let's say. Olamide Zaccheaus, Dontavian Wicks, I took for the correlation, but there are cases to be made for them, as I think they're the strongest cases. Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry, Isaiah Likely, 3 tight end room here. I think you could have gone to 4, but didn't feel like I had to. But taking Juwan Johnson, taking Barner, taking Fannin, I think that would have all been fine. Has anyone seen Roschon Johnson as a human in general this year? I don't think he's come back from the foot injury. Let's see, Roschon. I can't look up players at this point. Let's see. Roschon, I don't believe he's back at practice, or if he has gotten back in practice, I don't think there's been anything about it that I've seen. Let's see. Look it up, Roschon Johnson articles. We're going to look at Best Ball Explorer in a minute. Roschon, they're talking about other running backs being on the cut bubble and not Roschon. So I don't know. I assume he'll play and be okay at some point. All right, let's go to Best Ball Explorer. We can look at my exposures real fast. Again, if you guys don't care about it, you can hop off. If you want to see where I am for this last 2-week stretch, we can take a quick look at it. My top overall players, Tyjae Spears, 25% exposure across everything, 485 drafts. I think this includes pre-draft as well. So Tyjae Spears, 25% exposure, includes 26% on Underdog, my highest guy there. 24% on DraftKings, only 14% on Drafters. Number 2 is Bucky Irving. I'm surprised I've gotten him this high, but it was a goal of mine to get Bucky, make a stand on him. I do worry a little bit that if we get into week 17, Bucky being a guy who's great in advance rate and maybe loses out to Josh Jacobs, a possibility. It would also kind of suck the other way, where if Jacobs crushes him at advance rate, or Jonathan Taylor does, somebody else, or Chase Brown even crushes Bucky Irving in advance rate, I guess Bucky could be the low leverage guy or the leverage guy against it with lower advance rates. But I think he'll advance well. I think he'll be good this year. Was encouraged by his 1 touchdown catch in the preseason. So Bucky, once again, one of my biggest bets at a much different price than last year. Deebo Samuel, my number 3 guy here, 20% of him overall. The most I have is on Underdog. The least I have is on Drafters, only 8% there, compared to 17% on DraftKings, 22% on Underdog. Darnell Mooney, I've lost CLV on, but he's still one of my biggest bets of the year. If he's my wide receiver 4 or 5, I still like the team. 19% Mooney for me on Underdog, 21% on DraftKings, 14% on Drafters. And wide receiver 5, Keenan Allen, that is mostly pre his signing with the Chargers, got 18% of him overall, which includes the 19% on Underdog, 17% on DraftKings, and 19% on Drafters. Ja'Tavion Sanders, by the way, pretty close. He is fucking soared for me. My top QBs right now, Bryce Young, 16.5%, the most on Underdog, 19% of them there. I think in the 150s, he is your ideal bailout QB2/QB3 if he falls in the right spot. Justin Fields, I've got 2x the field on him, 16.5% as well. Cam Ward at number 3, 13%. Jayden at 13. Closer to, I think, 2x the field in Best Ball Mania. Would love to get to 16% overall, but I don't think it's going to happen at this point with most of my side drafts done on Underdog. And Michael Penix, pretty much right next to Jaden Daniels, 12.6% overall, over 10% on every site. You guys know I like Atlanta. I've talked them up enough, I think, this entire year. RBs, Tyjae Spears, Bucky Irving, Austin Eckler, I've got 18% of, which includes 20% on Underdog. Would love to see him get some CLV late, but not sure how much we'll get there. DeAndre Swift, a ton on Drafters, 27% there. Only 9% on DraftKings, 17% though in Underdog. DeAndre Swift, definitely a bet I have made. That one spooks me a little bit because like Chicago could get weird. But if they run well and Swift is your starter, as he should be, Swift's still a guy for me. Marshawn Lloyd, RB5 right now. I'm taking less, even though I took him today. But I got 17.5% on Underdog, 15% on DraftKings, 8% on Drafters. At this point, the bet is mostly ceremonial, but whatever. Joe Mixon, Brian Robinson. Robinson's going to kill me in CLV here. I guess I hope Christian McCaffrey falls off of a bridge. It's for the hope for Brian Robinson. Those teams I don't have a lot of esteem for. Wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, Keenan Allen, we've talked about them. Rashad Bateman, another guy who used to take a lot as wide receiver 5. A little bit tougher to do that ADP-wise. But I've got 19% Bateman on Underdog, 12% on DraftKings, and 16% on Drafters. And Juwan Jennings, I've taken him overall in the highest ADPs. I've taken him on the dip. I still like Juwan Jennings because of how well he played last year. But guys like him, Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, they're going to be big parts of what I do this year, buying them sometimes at the incorrect times. And hopefully they're still worth it no matter where I bought them. In tight end, Ja'Tavion Sanders, now my number 1 guy. Surprised to see that, but I took a lot in 3 tight end builds on these smaller tournaments that I was doing slow drafts on Underdog, so I get why he stormed up. Ja'Tavion, though, got a little bit of CLV on him because I was taking him for free, and now he's going round 16 for the most part. Zach Ertz, my tight end 2. Juwan Johnson, tight end 3. You are seeing the fruits of a late tight end labor here with those guys. Trey McBride, I've got 14% of, including 16% on DraftKings and Drafters. Chika Okonkwo, 14%. Theo Johnson, a lot of late tight ends here, but I've gotten decent CLV, I think, on Sanders, Ertz, Chig, Theo. Jonnu, I took early, I took late. Less good there. And then drafts real fast here. Some of my highest draft capital CLV drafts. This one was Best Ball Mania, June 11th. I think this one has Mike Williams on it. Yep, it does. Huge value on Cam Ward and Justin Herbert. Travion Henderson, I got at 77 in this room. Jalen Warren, big value. Charbonnet, big value. Samson for free. Lost some CLV on Travis Hunter and Marvin Harrison, but not a lot. Calvin Ridley. This team doesn't feel particularly special. You could say, in particular, this is probably the only share I have of Mike Williams this year. But that's that. Who are my biggest fades? I don't know how I'd calculate that offhand. Yeah, I don't know how I'd show you that with this, but there, guys. I don't. How would I do that? Portfolio exposure. My lowest exposure guys: Michael Pittman, Bub Means, Mac Hollins. So these are not particularly exciting ones. Gainwell, I've been fading. I probably should have taken more Gainwell, given the fact I wasn't sold on Caleb Johnson being RB2 there. Some of this is pre-draft with Kirk Cousins, I think. Pre-draft, Jonnu Smith. Tyreek Hill, big fade there. Jalen Waddle, same thing, 1% of those guys. RJ Harvey, I've got 1.2% of. Haven't ever liked the price tag for him. Blake Corum. It's pre-draft, Keenan Allen. Definitely the Miami offense, though, is one where that's top of mind, and it's a deliberate choice. So that's probably my biggest fade. But that's how the teams are looking. I could show you guys more individual teams, but it doesn't really matter that much. Here's my best CLV team right now on DraftKings. This one from mid-July. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, McCaffrey, Chase Brown, Kyren. So loaded RB room. Tajay Spears, lost big CLV on him, but still not a bad price. Trey Benson, good value on him. Brian Thomas, Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. So Niners double. Josh Palmer, Pop Douglas, Diami Brown, Andrews, Waller, Komet, Noah Gray. That team plays. And drafters, my best CLV team on drafters, just to close the loop here. And we can hop off at a sound 2.5 hours. Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix on drafters. 0 RB team with Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren. Big value on ATN, massive value on Swift. Garendo value is going to be not useful anymore with Brian Robinson coming in. Justice Hill, Sean Tucker, that's fine. Malik Nabers, Drake London, lost a ton of CLV on McLaurin, lost a ton of CLV on Jennings. Agbuka got a lot back. Wicks lost a ton of, this is a weird fucking team. Lost a ton of CLV on Wicks. 80 Mitchell, Restrepo's not even going to be in the league, it looks like. And then a tight end, ton of CLV on George Kittle, ton of CLV on Pitts. Same thing on Zach Ertz. It's my best drafters team based upon closing line value right now. So I'm happy with how my teams look. Obviously, some of these guys lost huge CLV on. Others I've gained a lot on. I don't know how it's going to all work out, but still like how the teams look when I go through things. That's ultimately what we're striving for here. People at work asking my favorite team is. I answer the same every time. Highest projected best ball team. That's true. And I agree with that. The gambling should dictate your fandom at this point, as opposed to the other way around. You're going to do a lot better for it. But guys, show some love if you can. Number one, show love for our presenting sponsor, Drafters. $100 deposit match at drafters.com. And I do appreciate all you guys who have signed up on Drafters. If you haven't yet, though, please do it, especially if you want to see this content come back next year, because got to convert well for Drafters on the home stretch. If there's any shot of me doing a similar haul next year, otherwise I'm just going to take my action off stream, is probably how it's looking, but I don't know that for sure yet. So for right now, go sign up for Drafters. And really the more important part for you guys out there, your money will go further on Drafters because your tournament is only halfway filled right now. Very unlikely it gets 75%, 80% filled in the next 2 weeks. So hop in on Drafters. Very good shot at overlay, good shot at your entry finishing higher, and also really a great site too to play on, because the fact that really they're putting money in that are not being paid out by players putting entries in, and that's a huge thing for you. If you do draft this weekend as well, put in 5 entries, you get 1 for free on Drafters. And you can do that twice. If you put in 10 entries, you get 2 for free. So good deals going on, good promos going on in Drafters. Take advantage of it. Of course, presenting sponsor of Splash Play this year. Join the Discord. All you got to do is join the channel down below on YouTube. Or if not, if you're on Twitter, go to @SplashPlayPod on YouTube. Join the channel. Click the link in the description. You get added to the Discord immediately. That's where I put all my news updates, anything I see that's interesting, whether it's in an athletic article or just, a tweet that matters, a news thing that breaks. I put my take into the Discord every day. Good community we're building in there as well. Lots coming up for NFL season, including my data sheet, which has won people a lot of money in the past. That's coming out into the Discord too. So get in there if you can. If you're already a member of the YouTube channel, make sure you're in the Discord as well. And that's all the plug. It's Stochastic too. If you want to get some DFS products, 15% off promo code SPLASH at Stochastic. Maybe if you want to get an NFL package, some of the deals they have, click a look at the description, the link in the description rather, go over to Stochastic and buy your membership that way. Even if you use one of their deals, I still get a credit for it. And it does help me out here. And gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the channel at SplashPlayPod, whether that is on YouTube or on Twitter. Check out the podcast feed as well if you want an audio version. That's available wherever you have audio podcasts too. And I will see you guys again next week for more. So enjoy your days. Good luck. Draft some teams. Get it going now. 13 days left till the NFL season starts, guys. So get your best ball teams in now if you can. If you're trying to get some volume in. I'll see you guys again soon. Again, enjoy your weekends. Good luck and bye-bye. And good luck.